Okay, hello everyone. I hope I am audible to everyone. If somebody can confirm, Ajit ji, can you confirm if I'm audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. So good evening everyone. And as you know, today is the session for IBS. I will quickly introduce myself. I'm known as Amit Rathore. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. I qualified 15 years back. It was somewhere in November 2010 when I qualified, and I have around 14, 15 years of experience now in the statutory audit domain itself. I've been throughout my journey career, I've been associated with Big Fours and top MNCs only in the statutory audit domain. So in today's session, as we all are aware that we are going to cover few case studies. So for today's session specifically, we have identified two case studies that we are going to cover. You can see my screen, which is the case study number one. The case study one is all related to cable caps, and it is my kind of personal opinion that after going through this case study, you will definitely able to have some good insights about a new industry which you all are pretty much familiar, which is in the caps and all. So it is the transportation services kind of a model, and we will cover this in the second case study, which we will have after a couple of minutes of a break after finishing the case study one. So with a small gap, after which we will start with the case study two. That is more or less like about the solar, a company which is into manufacturing and then supply management of the solar cells and all solar panels. So that will also give you a kind of a quick insights, because these two industries definitely they are like, one is already in the solar kind of a power production, which is the future, right? We are talking about the renewable energies and an ESG kind of an environment, whereby so you are all aware that how important this kind of a case study is going to be. And these kind of, like this first case study is all about the cable caps, which is more or less like the industry which is at boom right now. This is something which is pretty much evident and visible every now and then. This kind of an industry has changed the traditional way of transport, and now I'm pretty sure everyone who is on the call must have used the services of mobile driven applications to use the cab from one place to another. You must have experienced, or at least you must have seen, that this is a new service which is going on in the industry. Okay, so we will discuss about the cable cabs, and then there will be a couple of questions that we will address, which will be from different domains, different concepts, I will say, of your different chapters. So let's start with the case study number one, cable caps. So I'll be quickly going through the case study, and then we will address the question and answer at the end. So this cable cabs, which is better known by the name Cabber, is an Indian startup company, privately held, which provides online cab services to the greater population of the country. Online cab services. So we are talking about an industry which is at boom right now, right? You can see there are, like, first there was a global company which came into India, and it changed the way we used to think about the quick transport or the cab transportation in India with the mobile driven services, mobile driven application. And then later on, there are multiple companies which started emerging. There was a time, couple of years back, when most of the people were thinking about having these cab kind of services to be provided in the economy. It was considered one of the very lucrative business idea as well. I can still recall a couple of years back when we were actively participating with one of the big fours. I know this was the one of the hot topic to be discussed over the tea or the coffee breaks, that this is an industry which is booming, and then the people in surrounding in the nearby areas, they were considering this as a very lucrative opportunity. They were investing in this kind of a setup. So it was founded in the 2008. In 2008, this company was founded, and the founder name was Ikshit Potra, who is current CTO. Who is the CTO in a company is basically a chief technical officer who takes care of all the technical technology that the company will be needing, including the mobile interface, the user experience that they will be getting, and anything related to the technology. So Ikshit, who started the company, is currently is working as a CTO, and Saurabh Jain, who is the current CEO. So Chief Executive Officer is Saurabh Jain. Now, Keber initiated its operations and services from Chennai, and now the headquarter of this startup company is based in Pune. So they started operations in Chennai. Generally, it happens for any company which is in the startup kind of a phase. They start from one location, but when they reach to the second stage, which we can say after the startup stage, where they start, then where the kind of, the idea is established, and then they are going to become like somewhere like a unicorn or something, then they change their office and they move to a bigger city, right? So they started their operations in Chennai, and then uh, the headquarter of the startup company is based in Pune. Within a span of few years, cable cabs have expanded its base to as many as 85 cities across the country, with around 2 lakhs car operationals in its online cab service. Okay. So they are working with 85 cities already with 2 lakh cars, which are a part of fleet of this particular company. In 2012, the startup company also went forward to provide auto rickshaw services to the middle class clan of the Indian families through its mobile app in few selected cities like Mumbai, Hyderabad, Jaipur, and so more. So it's not only the cab company anymore. They started with the providing the auto rickshaw services as well. You might have noticed, like if one idea is exploring growing exponentially, there are people who comes up with the similar kind of an ideas, and then there are multiple founders, multiple startups who gets into the same kind of an industry. In the recent environment, you can see there are multiple such examples, including Uber is there, Ola is there, Rapido is there, right? And there are multiple, like you see, just to give an example, like when you talk about Rapido, they started with the motorcycle providing services whereby you can book a motorcycle as well. So that was the primary the Rapido started with. But then they started expanding their businesses into other segments as well. So they started arranging auto rickshaws. Now you can book a cab as well from Rapido. They are getting into the business of booking a bus, or if in case you want to book a aeroplane, I mean a flight as well, that is also something doable, right? In the same manner, for the other industries as well, if you can recall, in between there was a mobile based this kind of a cab service company which started delivering food as well, right? So you can see, like, existing the market leaders in this particular industry, these applications you can use them to deliver products as well, right, to some extent. So there are a lot of kind of business models, that lot of revenue generation generating business models that they entered into. And for our case study, cable cabs is also not different from them. So other than this cab arranging services, where were the car cab arranging services, they have entered into a auto rickshaw arranging services as well. So they are now providing auto rickshaw services as well, and mainly targeting the middle class clan of the Indian family. In FY 2022, Cable's market share accounted for approximately 55%. It clearly shows that they are the leaders in this particular market, in this particular segment, in this particular industry. And it reached a valuation of 6.5 billion US dollars, which means they have surpassed a threshold of being called as unicorn. So they are greater than a unicorn. Cable's business model disrupted the traditional taxi industry by offering a more convenient and efficient way to hail rides. The company utilized a technology driven approach using algorithms to match riders with nearby driver and optimizing routes, dynamic pricing models known as surge pricing. So even though you have experienced the cab services using a mobile based application, but since we are discussing this case study, there are multiple aspects. You will get to know how these mobile based application, these cab companies, how or what are the sources of income for them, what are the expenses, nature of expenses they are incurring. Is it like when we say that these companies are only like a mediocre or a bridge, or we call them aggregators, or they own the cabs as well, right? There is a common phenomena or a word in the market that these companies generally don't have any cabs registered with their name, or does not own any cab services. So we will see whether it is there or not. We also see, like again, kind of a general word or a talk of the town. When you discuss about these kind of applications, you will generally discuss that they don't have any drivers on payroll. So we will also see whether it is true or not with the use of this particular case study. So when we have started discussions, we can clearly see that the Caber's market share is 55%, and then they are already at a valuation of 6.5 billion. And how are they doing this? So Caber's business model is very simple, which is disrupting the traditional taxi market, taxi industry. And how are they doing it? By offering a more convenient and efficient way to hail rides. The company utilized a technology driven approach using algorithms to match riders with nearby drivers and optimizing routes, dynamic pricing models known as surge pricing. So if you have used these mobile based applications for to booking a cab, you know during the peak times this surge pricing is applicable. In between, if you have been in the market and you know about these kind of situations, there was a talk which was happening about the search pricing is not an ethical practice. People were discussing about it, but this is a business model, a revenue model, which is there for the company, right? There is the question of discussion around ethics and unethics is not something that the company from a professional perspective should be thinking about. So when the demand is high, I mean, it is a very general economic rule as well, that if the demand is high, the prices will automatically go up, right? I hope you can recall what we studied in the law of the demand as well when you were going through the economic classes during your 11th or maybe later on that stage. So such pricing is there. Adjusted fare, which are based on the demand, allowing the company to maximize revenue during the peak hours. It faced regulatory challenges and opposition from taxi unions in many cities, leading to legal battles and protests. So when we think that this kind of taxi industry is very organized or niche kind of a market, this is not true. To be very honest, you will find at multiple cities, these kind of taxi unions are there, which creates some level of problems for these mobile-based applications. And you know a couple of states where these things are pretty much highlighted nowadays. But yes, these kind of situations the company is also facing, and which is leading to some legal battles and protests as well. Major customer segments of cabs are individuals who do not own a car or can't drive on their own. Okay, so point to be noted, who do not own a car. They are the major customers. They are not the only customers. So the ones who are not having a car or the ones who have a car, but either they can't drive it or they don't want to drive it. They are the main customers for them. A segment of people who need an affordable ride, they share cab services by pooling a group of people from a common area as well. Again, it is very kind of practical. You must have seen this as well. In between, there was a pooling service as well, which was introduced. So the cabs companies, they used to pool people around and then they used to book the services. They used to deliver the services considering that common pool. Okay, so it was either individual booking of the cabs, or if in case you want to use the services as a pool, right, that was also available. Various customers who need a premium ride for a or a quick ride also book rides with cable. Overall, it serves the people who are looking for convenient cab bookings. Cable Cabs is amongst the fastest growing online cab service providers in India and aims to dominate the Indian market with its innovative and customer oriented business strategy, which includes mobile app awareness to the common people through the launch of a customized mobile specific technique named as app analytics, with the help of which the app can track and measure the overall performance of the services in particular city or through the drivers. So, you know, these web-based or mobile phone-based applications and especially these kind of cabs which are there to be booked by a mobile application, the biggest role over there in these kind of operations is of the CTO. Even CEO's role is also important, but CTO is playing a very vital role in such companies. So they launched an app analytics which can help them identifying the areas or identifying doing the analysis to understand during what time the demand is required, what level of people are there, what is the total market share they have. I mean, this application app analytics can produce a lot of result to them. Okay, providing ad campaigns on various social media platform, targeting the right audience, which as per the recent study has confirmed that the average customers were of 20 to 25 years of age who were working in the corporate companies and needed cab services to pick them up and drop them at their office premises. So that's also important. It is not only those general public or people are using these services, but it is mainly the people who are in the corporate and then they want to be picked up and dropped to their office and vice versa back to their home. So those are the people also who are using these services extensively. But how do they come to know about this? That who in the market is using all this? This is that they came out with the app analytics, right? So these app analytics are helping them to some great extent. If you're a regular user of any application, you will be surprised to see the moment you will open the application, it will automatically show you based on where you are standing on your current location and the time of the day. So if let us suppose you are standing if just to give an example, if you're staying somewhere in Delhi and your office is in Gurgaon. So the moment if it is morning and you are opening a cab, right, you will automatically see that the app is suggesting you that you generally during this time you go to Gurgaon. So they will be suggesting you your office address, name of your office. So the mobile application is automatically reading, and it's not only that a regular kind of a to and fro to a location at a particular time is only something that they are able to track. But I was surprised once, like what happened. So I'm a frequent traveler to a couple of states because I have multiple of some offices in and around. So whenever I reach to those places, also I have realized as soon as I will come out of the airport and try to open a cab through any mobile app based application, I can clearly see that my office is the first suggested place that is recommended over there. Because the application can understand that if I am standing at this location and I am trying to book a cab, probably my office is the first place I would like to visit. And that's known as app analytics. How it is happening? The application is learning. And if you've heard this term, which is pretty much talk of the town nowadays, which is known as artificial intelligence and machine learning, this is also a part of it. ML, which is machine learning, is helping all these applications and everything to understand the customer behavior. So at what time, what I need is something that machine is learning and behaving accordingly, right? So that's amazing. But the technology is changing a lot of things around. App analytics is helping that as well. So has confirmed that the average customers are of the age of 20 to 25 years, which are using this application for a regular kind of a usage to and fro from their office to home, and vice versa. Now, Caper works as a digital aggregator platform. So, who is aggregator? Aggregator, as the name suggests, who is someone who aggregates. So, they are not the ones who are building or manufacturing something, but they are the platforms who are aggregating. To give you an example, Amazon is also an aggregator. It is not that they are manufacturing something which you are purchasing from their website, but what are they doing? They are aggregating suppliers. So they are more or less like a platform. Like if in layman's language, I have to explain at times the aggregators, then I say they are the online market. Like in your common areas, when you see there is a market which is there, or a fair, I will say, rather than a market, like which is being put there, like a Ramlila fair or something, and then you will realize there are a lot of vendors who have been asked by the committee members. So they have been given licenses, or they've been given kind of a allowance for a particular time period and number of days that you can put your stalls over there for this much of time period, for against which you have to make some payments as well. Those payments can be either on the basis of the sales that you'll be generating from that fair, or there can be a fixed amount as well, right? So in the same manner, these online applications, they are allowing you to register your particular business or products or services over that particular platform. And then this platform will become like a bridge. One side sellers are there, the other side the buyers are there. So this is a common platform. This is a bridge between. So this bridging model between multiple customers and multiple sellers is known as the aggregator. So we are aggregating. I mean, this is right. So if a common platform is there, which is aggregating a lot of suppliers, it can be anything, be it your Amazon, be it, I will say, your Swiggy is there, Zomato is there, right? Ola, Uber is there, Flipkart is there. I mean, in most less or more, they are doing what they are doing. Their main business is into aggregation. So they are the aggregators. So Cable works as a digital aggregator app platform. Because why aggregator? Because they are also aggregating services from the people who owns a car and wants to become a kind of a car driver or probably a cab driver, I will say. So they are connecting with people and aggregating those services. So they are an aggregator connecting passengers who need a ride from point A to point B with drivers that are willing to serve them. Okay. So this is the concept of aggregators, a bridge in between one side customers and the other side is your service providers or product providers. Passengers generate the demand. Drivers, they are the suppliers basically, supply the demand, and Caber acts as the marketplace or facilitator to make this all happen seamlessly on a mobile platform. So, to have a successful aggregator business model, you have to satisfy the needs, the pain, and the gain, both of the areas for both customer and your service providers. So, Caber being a marketplace, a facilitator of in between the customers and the other side as the cab drivers, what they need to do is need to have pain relievers and gain creators for both, for drivers as well one side and for the customers as well. So this all happens seamlessly on the mobile platform. Caber has been able to generate strong value propositions for both businesses, passengers, and drivers to get on board on its platform and create disruption in the taxi or cab industry. Okay. What is more important in this line is strong value propositions, which I was just mentioning. What are the value propositions? That what are the pains that these passengers and drivers are going through, and how my services are killing that pain. And on the other side, what are the gains that these passengers and drivers are looking forward to, and how my services are creating. My services mean the cab services are creating that gain. Okay. So they are known the value propositions. Now, certain facilities provided by the cable to the passenger customers are okay. So when you see and you think about a cab industry and you think about it and then you realize that probably the amount they are receiving from the customers is the only source of income for them, or probably the I will say the expense is the only driver's payout is something that is there from their wallet. Then this case study will give you more insights. It will tell you that what are various types of streams of incomes these cab companies have and what are the various types of expenses that they have. So certain facilities provided by the cable to its passenger customers are convenient cab booking. This is convenient cab booking can be a painkiller. So maybe it was a very big pain for the customer, and now my services are actually killing that pain. Real-time tracking. The ride-hailing services refers to ability of the passengers to track the location of their assigned vehicle in real time using the mobile app. It is actually customers' experience, enhancement of experience. Customer feels so happy when they open the application and then they can see a car is moving towards them, or a particular time is mentioned over there that it will take 2 minutes or 5 minutes to reach out to you, along with a number of the driver that you can instantly call to check whether they are coming or not. I mean, so all this is basically certain facilities which are either a painkiller or a gain creator. This feature provides passengers with an estimated time of arrivals and allow them to see the route the driver is taking to reach their location. Okay, this is also very helpful. So you can see, like there is a shorter route, but the person has taken a longer route, right? At times. So I mean, this is what happened yesterday as well. Just to give you an example. Okay, so there was kind of a cab that was booked by me, and I instantly realized that the driver is taking a different route. I instantly called him to ask that why are you going on that side when I am standing on the exact opposite side? And the person told me that there was some work that he was quickly finishing and then coming back. So, I mean, you can real time, you can actually track that what is happening over there. It promotes cashless rides by giving the option for passengers to pay for their rides using digital payment methods such as debit cards, mobile wallets, or cable money. So it means this is another, again, probably a pain killer for the customer. So I, as a customer, need not to get into that kind of a situation whereby I don't have change and the driver is waiting unnecessary for me to find out some change from somewhere and do the settlement of the cab charges. I mean, they provide multiple ways. So even if the debit card is something that you are carrying, you can pay using debit card. You can have mobile wallets, or there is a wallet which is provided by the cable money as well, which is cable's own wallet. So you can top up with the wallet money, and then you can pay whenever the ride is finished. When it comes to cable's digital wallet, I mean, this is application's digital wallet, which is also need to be registered with the RBI because you are accepting public deposits, right? This is very, very important. You'll be surprised to know, but if you'll check, like one of the fun fact that I can add on, if you check the financials of Starbucks globally, right, you will realize they have more than $5 billion. Okay. So if you've heard me, you have heard me correctly. It is $5 billion. More than that much of amount is actually lying in their wallets, which the Starbucks has created. And people are using Starbucks, I mean, on a regular basis. So what they do, instead of going and paying again and again every time they are placing an order, they top up the wallet of Starbucks in advance, and then they keep that money over there. So whenever they are ordering something, the amount is getting debited automatically through that wallet. And this money, which is running into billions of dollars, that is staying with the Starbucks. It is interest free, and then this money can be used by the Starbucks to for expanding their operations. Okay, so I mean, this is the benefit of having these kind of digital wallets, and that's why every aggregator have their own wallets, and then they ask you to top it up for quick payments, so that the payment gateway is a step, is a screen where they don't want the customer to spend much of the time. This eliminates the need of passengers to pay in cash at the end of their ride, offering a convenient and secure payments experience. Further, the passengers using the Cabal app experience shorter waiting times. Okay, so that's also another very big painkiller, right? As a customer, I don't want to wait, and even if I'm waiting, I need to know that how much time it is going to take, right? So this is again a kind of a painkiller for me. So further, the passenger using they experience shorter waiting time. This could be due to factors such as the availability of nearby drivers, efficient routing, and effective matching algorithm that quickly connect passengers with available drivers. So when I got an experience into this industry, so telling you, even this rider matching or driver matching have multiple ways, right? There are so many matching algorithms that are there, and then as a company they have to decide. So is it the one who is the nearest, right? Is to be allocated. Just to give an example, if you are simply requesting a cab, from your perspective, it is just like a driver who is in nearby will be allocated to it. But there are so many algorithms, right, which are running behind it before deciding which one rider or which one driver will be allocated to you. I mean, there can be one like whomsoever is available in your surrounding, they should be directly allocated. There can be another thing like, let us suppose, whomsoever can be available in within 5 minutes, 10 minutes in your surrounding, they can be sent a kind of a notification that there was a request which is raised by one of the customer, right? All of them together, and then they can click, and the one who will be selecting it, kind of accepting this ride, will be allocated. There is another algorithm which goes like that. If this request is being raised, it will go to each driver, nearby drivers, one by one, instead of sending it to all the rider drivers in one go. It will be went to, let us suppose, for someone, it will remain for 5 seconds with that guy, and then it will move to someone else. I mean, that way not everyone in together will come to know. I mean, one of the example I can recall, which is very relevant in this situation, is the Swiggy's example, right? So they came out with a kind of a model whereby if there is a food order which is given by a customer, initially the algorithm of allocating a rider was such like if there are 10 riders in nearby, all 10 of them will get a notification that there is an order which is to be picked from this particular restaurant and to be delivered to a customer. Now, the problem was all of the 10 of the riders got this notification, but one of them accepted the order. The problem is nine of the other riders who have not been allocated to this order, they also know that there is an order which is to be picked from a restaurant and to be delivered to a customer. So the other nine riders, any one of them can go to the restaurant, can collect that order and can vanish from there, right? Nobody will get to know that which was rider it was. And the one who was allocated, when he will go to the restaurant, he will be surprised to know that somebody has also already taken up the order. I mean, this was a practical challenge that people started facing. And to solve this, they came out with a solution that every order along with the rider will be given a code, OTP, which when you will be using the application, you will also get to know there is an OTP which is asked, which was earlier not there. So, I mean, the more you will gain the experience of this industry, you will realize the more areas of improvements are there. And then this is what the companies are doing on daily basis. They find problems and then revenue leakage areas, and then they come out with solutions, and then they keep on sorting like this. So this is what is happening actually on ground in these kind of applications. Okay. So lower wait time contributes to a better overall experience of the passengers, reducing the time they spend waiting for their ride to arrive. Its app provides an upfront pricing feature. This is also very important. I can see nowadays when new companies are entering into this particular industry, there was one company, without taking name, they came out with an idea that instead of fixing a price or showing customer a price. So right now, if you're booking a cab, okay, so there is a fixed price that you can see instantly. So that at a later stage, you and your driver will not have a kind of a friction that on fixing a price, right? So you'll be saying name itna hi lagta hai and all these things, while the other guy will be no, you're absolutely wrong and all this. So the cab fixes the price on the basis of the kilometers that you'll be traveling, on the basis of the toll charges, etc., that you will be paying, and the timing at that timing that you will be taking that cab. Because if it's a peak hour, then they may put some such prices as well. So I mean, but the best part is that at the moment you'll be booking this particular cab, you will get to know the prices. So you need not to be surprised or shocked at the end. But this new company came out with an idea that instead of telling the customer that this is the price that we are going to take, what we will do, we will ask the driver and the customer to negotiate with each other. So while booking the ride, I can definitely quote my price that this is what I'm ready to pay 700 rupees, let us suppose. And the driver is asking, no, it is 900 rupees. So until or unless that negotiation, the price will not be fixed, the cab will not be booked. Okay. So they came up with this kind of an idea. So that's also absolutely fine. I mean, the innovation is always something, the value addition is something that we should always be aspiring for. But the point is basically it may become some little kind of a hassle as a customer. If I have to do this kind of a negotiation, probably I won't like that because it is going to waste a lot of my time. And then probably this is not kind of a negotiation that I would be interested in doing, at least while booking the cab. But yes, there might be a couple of people who may find this idea interesting. And if this kind of a function will be there, a kind of a feature will be there on that application, probably some of the customers will jump from the existing applications to the other applications. I mean, we continuously keep on saying that customers are not the ones who are being bought by any of these companies or aggregators. Customers see value, customers see experience, and wherever the value or the experience are higher, they move there, right? And that's why this market is very volatile. You may build a customer base in last, 5, 10 years, and then you can lose them overnight as well if there is someone who comes with a better value or better experience. Right. So very volatile market. And that's why you need to have these customer experience enhancement programs on regular basis. That's why I told you the CTO is the most important person for such industry because they keep on coming with customer experience enhancement programs, right? Even if it is like app analytics, which was launched by the CTO in our the case study, typically refer to. So this is by providing upfront pricing, Caber aims to offer transparency to passengers regarding the cost of their ride, helping them make informed decisions before booking a ride. In the Caber app, multiple ride options typically refers to the various categories or type of rides available for users to choose from when booking a ride. These options may include Caber micro offers, small affordable cars for short trips or solo travelers. These multiple ride options cater to the diverse needs and preferences of Caber users, providing flexibility in terms of vehicle type, comfort level, and pricing. Users can select the option that best suits their requirements for each specific journey. Okay? So there are multiple options as well. It's not like only a car or a cab that is being booked, but you can decide whether you need a four-seater, three-seater cab, or a six-seater kind of a big cab, or you need a kind of a primary or luxury kind of a cab, or is it just like a mini or a small cab is also something that will work. Nowadays, I have not seen this kind of a pool service, but it was there in between. So again, I'm telling you, there are a lot of things that these companies keep on enhancing, keeps on coming with value additions, and depending on the customer experience and how the market is accepting those features or changes, they keep on evolving themselves. So maybe a pool is not something which was good from a sharing perspective or maybe a safety perspective. So they finally dropped it. But there are multiple other options with which you can book. And to add on what we started with, like you can book auto rickshaws or probably bikes as well using these cabs. Okay. The hiring department. Now you see, we have a hiring department in Caber. So if you're thinking that they are not hiring, it is not correct. They do hire drivers. Okay. Just to give you an example, if there is a prime service, they want to cater to a specific league, maybe a premium class of the society. They may need quality control in terms of how the driver is talking, how the driver is behaving in the car which the driver is driving, how clean that car is, right? This may all can be something that the company wants to control if they are going into this prime premium segment. Okay. So in those cases, the driver is also something that they would definitely like to control. So they have a hiring department. What is the role of the hiring department at Cable? Undertakes an extensive search to hire experienced drivers who can be further trained to professionally handle high-end luxury segment customers. I told you, premium customers, basically. They call it internally like this. So if there is a premium customer, they want to give the premium experience, premium service to those customers. And that's why they have to kind of in control with everything that is going, because the behavior of the driver, the way the driver is talking, speaking, the way the driver is dressing, the way the car is being carried, right? How new, how old the car is, what does the interior look like, exterior look like? I mean, everything. So for a high-end luxury segment customers. For this, the company plans to approach a staffing agency that will provide candidates based on the cable's specific requirements for an experienced driver. So it it means it is like they have outsourced this particular section, right? So they have a staffing agency, right? They are planning to approach a staffing agency so that at least this headache of finding drivers from market can be outsourced to someone. They will also do the background check for these drivers to ensure their fitness and safety records. Very important. If you're working with a driver and you want to place them with the high-end luxury segment customers, a background check of the driver and their safety records, right? They both are very important, fitness and safety records, you see. So the health checkup will also happen for the drivers. Keber plans to have regular maintenance done on the cars to ensure that they are in a working condition. I told you, exterior, interior, everything around the car even. It's not only the driver. The car also needs time, value additions, and the car should also be speaking quality when it will go there to pick up a customer, at least a high-end luxury segment customer. They also have approached insurance companies for car and accidental insurance. Okay. After hiring its drivers, now when the drivers are getting on board, what is happening in the company? They provide flexibility to drive on their own terms. So it is not like a fixed job that you have to work from this time to this time. They are flexible. They are asking the drivers at what time you want to work on terms like setting their own schedule based on their preferences, day shift, night shift, full time, part time. Drivers can also decide where they want to operate within the service area. They may prefer to work in specific neighborhoods, cities, or regions based on factors such as demand, traffic conditions, or familiarity with the area. Cable training sessions for drivers are comprehensive and focused on enhancing professionalism, safety, and customer satisfaction, covering a range of topics including safety protocol, customer service skills, navigation techniques, vehicle maintenance, company policies, technology usage, and financial management. These sessions aim to equip drivers with the necessary knowledge and skills to excel in their role. And this is the key, to be very honest. If my drivers, I mean, there is a brilliant saying which goes like the management solves the problem, but the leaders, they avoid the problem. So if you're solving a problem, maybe you are somewhere at the middle management level, which is more or less whenever a problem is being faced, you rush for solutions, you find solutions. But the leadership, they don't work like this. They don't solve problems. They try to avoid the problems. Their first question is why this happened and how we can avoid it in the future. So when we are training the drivers with so much of things, we know that we are avoiding a lot of problems. Rather than, to give you another example, if you're like at times you will face this. You're booking a cab and the cab driver is asking, the first question is, sir, will you pay online or you will pay cash? Which means you'll be paying using the application of that particular cab provider, or you will directly pay the uh, driver. Because if in case you will pay the driver, at times they will realize or they will tell you that they don't have cash, but the fuel is running out. So they want some money in hand, some cash in hand, so that they can have the gas refilled in the vehicle. Now you see, this is as a customer is not should not be a concern area for us. When we are talking from the company perspective, they also realize this. They are like a customer shouldn't be bothered by the driver to ask for making the payments directly to their account, right? Just because they have the gas is running out or something sort of, right? So when you if you can see the trainings that they are planning, there is a training around the financial management as well. I mean, this is so cool because they are planning it how you can avoid these kind of situations. A high-end luxury segment customer is sitting inside the car and you are asking some amount so that you can fill the gas. I mean, how weird this situation can be. By providing education and guidance in these key areas, Cable ensures that its drivers can deliver a reliable, safe, and enjoyable experience for passengers while also empowering them to manage their work effectively as independent contractors and the ride hailing industry. Okay. So they do hire riders. I mean, obviously, in this industry, drivers, not riders. Cable supports its drivers by facilitating access to vehicle loans, enabling them to become vehicle owners and enhance their earning potential. Okay. So if there is a driver who's associated with us, and let us suppose they want to own a car, but they don't have finance. So Uber is helping them, Caber is helping them as well, enabling them. Through partnership with financial institutions, Caber offers specialized loan programs with competitive interest rate and flexible repayment terms, tailored to the need of ride-hailing drivers. Now, this company has done partnership with some financial institutions which are financing the cabs for these cabber drivers. Additionally, Caber runs a vehicle leasing program in many cities to help new drivers get on board faster. So if there are an existing and old kind of a driver, I can still arrange for some financial institution to support them with, let us suppose, car loan or that kind of a loan because they are associated with the company for a long period of time, and then they can show the earning records as well to the financial institutions who will fund their cab or give them the car loan or cab loan, right? In those cases. But if we want to onboard new riders and we don't drivers and we don't know about like their earning potential and all those things, then instead of getting into this financial arrangement in terms of the car loan or cab loan, we can provide the cabs on lease as well. So let's understand the lease kind of a functionality for this company. So additionally, Cabber runs a vehicle leasing program in many cities to help new drivers get on board faster. Drivers pay an upfront security deposit for the vehicle. Okay, so some amount of security deposit has to be deposited, and payments are automatically deducted on a weekly basis from their earnings. So there will be a weekly payout which the company will be making for to these drivers. And in most of the cases, the amount will be collected by the company itself from the customers, and then they will be deducting their commission and paying it back to the drivers, which is known as payout. And this settlement is generally for aggregators. It is happening on a weekly basis. So I've seen for almost every aggregator that I come across, the settlement cycle is weekly. So they will be doing a weekly settlement, and whatever the lease charges will be, they will also deduct it from that settlement while making that settlement. Cabot purchases motor vehicles or motor cars from Shakti Motors. Okay, so if they have to purchase cars, they have a kind of a tie-up with the Shakti Motors as well, and leases out to the drivers. The lease agreement states, now it's very important, the terms of the lease agreement. It says that in case of default by drivers for payment of lease rent or other terms and conditions, Cabot has power to repossess the motor cars vehicle leased out. Okay, so let us suppose I was planning as a company that I will deduct the lease amounts from the weekly payouts, but there might be a possibility that these drivers are not working, or even if they are working, they are not able to earn that much to so that I can deduct my lease payments. In those cases, they will not be able to pay the leases, lease rentals, and they will become defaulters. And if they are defaulting it, the company has a right to repossess the motor car which they leased out. Okay, so the registration of the car is in the name of the lessee. It cannot be at the lessor. So it means who's the lessee here? They are the drivers. As per the provisions of Motor Vehicle Act, Cabot has claimed a depreciation of rupees 5 crore during the provisions 23-24 on the motor cars leased out. So these cars are leased out, and these cars are on the name of lessee. But the company has claimed depreciation over it. I mean, this is very interesting. How a company can claim depreciation on assets which they don't own. Okay, so the ownership is with the lessee, but the depreciation is being claimed by the company. So we'll discuss it because I'm pretty sure there must be a question around it in the multiple questions. Cabot makes money by taking a cut. Okay, now revenue segments of the company. Cabot is making money by taking a cut on each ride, which I told you known as commission. Now, Cabot provides the driver on its platform with a robust supply of ride requests to accept, fulfill, and make income. While making a booking, the passenger pays Cabot for the ride through the app. Cabot then transfers the amount to the driver's account after taking some amount of trip commission for doing the job of a broker. The commission rates may vary 15 to 30% depending on the market or the timing, etc. Like the search pricing will be there. In the same manner, the search commissions can also be there. This is the one source of income. Okay. Dynamic pricing, search pricing is charged whenever there is a higher demand of the cabs than what can be served at that moment. For example, at the airport after a flight lands. So they have a line, right? And this all is possible only through this machine learning, that what time a flight is coming. So as soon as the flight is landing, they know now there are a lot of passengers who will be rushing to book the cabs, and the search pricing can work. So if I have 10 cabs standing on halt near the airport, it can pick up the passengers, but there are 20 people who are demanding it. Suddenly search pricing will be applicable. The fare goes up based on a search price calculation algorithm. If a passenger cancels a ride after a certain time frame, say 5 minutes, she is charged a cancellation fees. Okay, so search pricing is also there. Commission is also there, which they are earning, and then simultaneously cancellation fees is also, which is being charged from the customer. Cabot app is a very popular app with millions of active users. This make it a good option for the brands to do promotion. Okay. Now, this is what I was always thinking when I came across a model of aggregators. So let us suppose, I mean, just to give an example, I used to think for a company which is very popular, and why can't they advertise, right, for any other company which is not in their competition? Okay. I'm just giving you a kind of an hypothetical example, but let us suppose if I know that the Amul packet, the milk packet is going to every home in Delhi NCR every day, then what is stopping Amul to do the advertisement on its packet, right? Let us suppose of some other company who is there into a different segment, different industry altogether. Let us suppose Amul is only into dairy products, so they will definitely never do advertisement for Mother Dairy or any sort of other dairy companies. But what is stopping them from doing the advertisement of, let us suppose, Godrej appliances? Okay, what if Godrej is coming back and saying that all your packaged, whatever the key information that you want to place on the packet, you can keep that, but the rest, all the space on that packet is something that I am looking forward to. Okay, that I want specifically to be advertised my products over there, and you can charge for that. So any and every, once you have a customer base, once you have a database, once you have a footfall on your platform, that can become a very big source of revenue for any company, right? So Caber is also realizing it, that they have millions of active users. This makes it a good option for brands to do promotion. Its a current app interface pushes a feed style layout for intuitive content consumption. Over the period, it may go on to become a strong revenue source by becoming a channel for sponsored content, right? You will realize, you order anything, like let us suppose you are ordering anything from Swiggy, right? At the checkout page, you may find that there are 10 more advertisements of other companies, right? Because Swiggy is just an aggregator. They are not into any product or service, okay, other than delivering on it. So Swiggy will not never show an ad for Zomato because it's a competition in the same industry. But if you want them to show your products and you are from a different segment altogether, they will be happy to do that because they have a customer base, and then they will charge you accordingly. And in some cases, you will realize this amount is not small. This can become a very big income source for the companies. The company offer discounts and promotions. Okay, so this is another source of income. Now, company, they may have these kind of models of expenses. So the company offers discount and promotions to end users that are not our customers, regular customers. So they want, how are they, by giving discounts, they are bringing more customers on the platform. So what are the kind of promotional discounts that they are offering? So they are targeting end user discounts. So let us suppose they have a target end user, okay, that they know that, let us suppose the school going students, college going students are not using caps for regular usage, right? Or probably they can definitely push others or can become a source of referencing. So they can come up with like a target end user market, and then they can give that target end user some discount and promotions. Okay, so that is one way. The other is end user referrals. So they can come up with some plans. Like if you are the end user, so let us suppose if I'm using a particular Caber application, I can refer to some of my friends, some of my relatives to use this particular cab, and what I will get in return maybe another ride, right? And to be very honest, the first cab that I used, it was somewhere around, I think 10 years back or something, what I can recall roughly. But this I actually used because one of my friend pushed me to use the application, because the kind of a offer which was going on was 1+1. So it means if you'll refer one person, you will get one ride free. This is how it is. So he got one ride free, which he took from Gurgaon to Rohini. It was free of cost. So just to get that one free ride, he pushed me to use this application. Okay. And when I started using this application, I found the experience was really relevant and pretty good. And then since then, I became a regular customer of these cab providers. I mean, so this is known as end user referral. Market-wide promotion. So this is kind of a general promotion that is happening in the discount form. You will see at times you will book a ride which is costing you 1,000 rupees. After 2 days, you will book the ride. The same ride is costing you now 700 rupees or something. So some market-wide promotions are also going on. Some refunds or credits to end users due to the end user dissatisfaction. So that can also be there. I mean, if let us suppose you use the service and the services are not up to the mark. Somehow you are not satisfied with the services because of any reason related to vehicle, right? It got broken down in between, so breakdown was happened in between, or the driver's behavior was not good, or xyz things, anything which made you I mean which brought some level of discomfort, or which because of which you were dissatisfied. So they give you refund as well. They can give you some credits which you can use probably in the next ride. You can reduce your fare using those credits. So all this is there, right? And then all this will be considered as a reduction of the revenue for the company. Okay, so now you see marketing expense or reduction of the revenue. This is also very important. Okay, so when you are providing these kind of additional discounts and offers, companies generally they come up with an idea that if this is an expense, let us suppose a commission is a discount is being given. You need to understand the nature of the discount. But let us suppose a ride is of 100 rupees and I'm giving a discount of 20 rupees. There are two ways, right, to account for this. One way, the companies will be like, I will book 100 rupees of a revenue, and then 20 rupees I will book in the marketing expense in P&L. Now, in this way, you know what happened? This is known as a gross booking. Okay. Now, in this case, the revenue is overvalued. I mean, why I'm saying overvalued, let us suppose the nature of the discount was itself that it should have been inherent in the transaction itself. So if it is the case, then that 20 rupees should have been deducted from the revenue itself instead of booking it as a marketing expense in your P&L, because it is actually overvaluing or exaggerating your revenue. So there are two ways basically, either situational, right? So either it can be a marketing expense or it can be a reduction of revenue. Okay, so either you will book the net 80 rupees in the P&L, or you will book it as a marketing revenue expenses of 20 rupees. Okay, Caber offers 24 into 7 customer support. This is another expense. Okay, I have to have a customer support team which is sitting with me. Drivers receive assistance at any time, enhancing the overall user experience. Caber's value proposition revolves around providing convenient, safe, and reliable transportation solutions for passengers while offering flexible earning opportunities and support for its driver partnership, right? Partners, basically. So, I mean, I discussed that the value proposition is something that it is they need to identify the customer's pain, the driver's pain, and then they need to see how that pain can be killed by the services they are offering. In the same manner, they need to see the gain that the customers and the drivers are expecting, because they are a middleman, they are a facilitator, they are known as aggregators. So they are in between. So one side they have customers, the other side they have drivers, right? So they need to understand the pain and the gain for both of them, and then they need to come up with the services which can either killing that pain or creating that gain. So right. So these are some of the gains that they brought for the drivers. Recently, Cable is planning to introduce customized luxury rides to attract high-end customers in all metropolitan cities in India, best known for their fast-paced lifestyle. Due to expansion of business in various segments requiring restructuring in leadership team for effective management, the board has decided to increase the number of directors. Now the business is expanding, so they are planning to come up with the luxury rides. You see, they were planning to hire a staff agency as well, which will find out the drivers with relevant experience, and then thereafter they'll be training them for high-end experiencing customers, right? So if you want to get into that luxury kind of a segment, the expansion of the company will need more people who are into the decision making kind of a role, and who are qualified and experienced as well. So to do that, required to be appointed as directors. Currently, the company has. So they are saying that we will increase the directors, because with the existing set of directors, the expansion is hampering. So they need more people, more experience, more hands to do the decision making. So now with the revised strategy, the board of directors desires to increase. Okay, so they are planning like from 7 to 16, they will be increasing the numbers. In FY22, cable's market share accounted for approximately 55%. It has reached a valuation of 6.5 billion US dollars in the year 23. So this is the sample of fare. So let us suppose a customer is booking a ride from Jaipur's Jodhbada to Sanganer, Jaipur. And why an auto driver, a resident of the Rajasthan, accepted the ride. On completion of the trip, the operator received fare from X. A probable breakup of it can be as under. So the driver ended up paying 1,000 rupees, okay? 800 for driver fees and 200 booking and convenience charges. So as a customer, they don't care, right? Whether they are paying for driver fees or they are paying for booking or convenience charges. From their perspective, 1,000 rupees is the cab charge that they have to pay. Now we have multiple choice questions. And so this is the setup, how the IBS exam is being set up. And I mean, when I became a chartered accountant, this exam was not there. This is a newly introduced kind of an exam. I will say a paper. And then the reason for introducing this is because we are in an now a very rapidly changing market. It's a very dynamic era that we are a part of, right? We always discuss and we say that by the time you will update with the things that are happening in the surrounding, you will realize that you are outdated, right? So the time that you are taking to update yourself is also not enough. Every single, I mean, the movements, the changes are happening in moments. They are not happening in kind of weeks or months or years, right? The world is very dynamic nowadays. The new industries are popping up. Like there are people who are taking time to understand. It's not only the traditional kind of businesses which are growing up, like this industry, cab industry. This was not there. I mean, if you talk about 15 years back, nobody was aware that these mobile-based cab bookings can happen, or probably blockchain technology have come up. It came in 2010 only, so 15, 16 years before, nobody was aware that the blockchain technology is there. Nowadays, we are talking about AI, ML. By the time you will get some hold on AI, ML, you will realize a new version of it is there, new functionalities are there. So world is changing very fast. So it means the profession to which we are a part of, we should also be upgraded in such a manner that we know that it's not only a particular paper or a particular kind of study can only make the students future ready. So we need to have some practical implications. We need to know the practical cases which are happening. We need to pick up the practical instances and all the case studies that are there in the module of ICAI. To be very honest, they all are something practical. They are actually real uh, life companies. Just the name is changed. I hope when I was discussing, you can relate to some companies as well. So this is very practical. And then whatever is happening is also something which is practically happening in those companies. It means it is giving you a real life example. So if your customer, this, let us suppose this company is your customer, these the questions which are there, they are not questions and answers. So we are not expecting like a student you will be answering them, right? These are queries which are coming from your client. So in this case study, now you know the background. So this is known as knowing your client or customer, knowing the business of your customer, knowing the industry of your customers. So all this case study description that we have done till now was actually gaining some understanding of the industry, gaining the understanding of the customer, so that we can understand the queries of the customers and we can solve them, right? As a professional, we will be paid to solve values, to bring values and solve problems. There are only two reasons because of which the customers will be willing to pay us, which is either we are good at solving problems or we are good at creating values. If we are not able to solve a problem or create values, nobody needs us as a professional. So we need to understand the case study is drafted in such a manner that they have given you a company's background, the industry's background, and now the customer, the client is asking you certain questions that they are confused on these areas, and then they need your advices. This is the practical implication. So the moment you will become a chartered accountant, this is what you will be doing on daily life. I mean, every day the customers, the clients will be coming up and then they'll be sitting with you asking these kind of questions. That can you please help me? This is what is happening in my company. And then you have to kind of have an idea of, like if this is happening, how this is being dealt in GST, how and what level of implication it is in direct taxation, how this is collaborating with the Companies Act, right? I mean, so these regulatory compliances, laws and regulations, and standard requirements, etc., that you should be familiar with. And in the real life, like in the real life, to be very honest, the way nobody wants you to cram everything or like mug up everything and just throw it on your client. In the same manner, this IBS exam paper is also set up so that you can reach out to whatever concepts or whatever modules you want to refer, and then find out the answer the way you'll be doing in the real life, and then come back and write it in the exam, in the question, in your paper. I mean, very practical. To be very honest, this is a very good initiative. So, multiple choice questions. The first multiple choice question that we have is, which of the following statement accurately describes characteristics of disruptive innovation of Kaber? Okay. Now, see, they were able to disrupt the taxi market. The first question is asking, there are 4 5 reasons, 4 5 ways through which they have disrupted the market. So they are asking you that out of these five, what do you think, which one is the right reason, right? How they were able to disrupt the market. So when we are discussing this, just a minute. Okay, great. So I have, answers also ready for this. But what we will do, we'll keep on discussing the questions, and then we will analyze what should be the answer, and then we can reach out to the answer for the benefit of everyone. So the first one is that Kaber initially targeted niche markets to establish its presence. Okay, so that is very important, obviously. So this is the characteristics through which they disrupt the market. Second is Kaber offered competitive performance and quality compared to existing products. This is also really very important. Okay, so performance wise, they were really good. Quality, they were providing excellent. Third is Kaber immediately dominated the market upon introduction. So obviously, this third doesn't make any sense. They took time to become a leader in the market. Fourth is established companies did not align with the preferences of their current customers and overlooked Kaber's disruptive innovations. So this is also a very big reason through which they are able to disrupt the market, that the existing companies, if they will also have noticed the disruptive innovations of the Kaber, they would have also came out with the value additions or solutions to the problems. They would have worked on the customer experience enhancements, and finally they could have become a very big competition for the Kaber as well. But they ignored all this, right? They were just busy working on the traditional kind of practices that they were following, and this gave an edge to the Kaber because they came out with innovative ideas. So this can also be a good answer. Then Kaber's innovation tend to evolve and improve over time, eventually surpassing existing products or services. So this is something that they are tend to, they are not doing. Okay. So this is okay. This is also kind of a good reason, but this is what will happen in future. While we are right now thinking that what has actually helped them disrupting the market. So the answer is first, second, and fourth. Okay. So which is basically an option A, which covers A, B, and D only. Okay. So this is what it is. I mean, A, B, and D. So I've seen in the answer sheet as well. I'll open for the benefit of everyone, and then we can quickly start going through with that as well. As and when we'll discuss one question, and then after discussing the answer, we can reach out to that just to cross check if it is correct. With reference to the fare breakup, what should be the total amount of the fare and the GST, assuming the rate of GST as 5%? If X, so if you can see, there was a table at the end whereby 800 rupees was paid to the driver, 200 rupees was the convenience fees. So they're asking if GST is 5%, if X hailing the ride is not claiming ITC. Okay. So it means the person who is, it's not a corporate booking. Okay. It's not someone who will be going to take this GST as a credit, input credit in their books. So if they are not claiming ITC on the above, and also who is the person liable to pay GST in the given case. So who will pay the GST, and then how much the GST will be? Okay. The answer is basically that generally the cab charges which are shown to us, the final charges, they are inclusive, right? So they are inclusive of the GST. So you can do the calculation exact opposite. I mean, let us suppose in this instance it is inclusive of GST, then the answer will become 1000 divided by 105%, right? 105% to know the base fare, and the remaining amount will be your GST. I hope this calculation is something that you are familiar with. But if in case this is exclusive GST, because the question says that this is the charges of the ride, and then simultaneously the customers being paying will be paying for convenience. So if it is not inclusive of GST, then the exclusive GST will be 5% on 1000. Okay. And since this 5% is further will be divided into SGST and CGST, which is 50-50% of both of them. So the answer can be the total amount that the customer will be paying. So it can be 1050, which is CGST rupees 25, SGST rupees 25. 1000 plus 5%, which is 50 rupees, divided into CGST 25 and SGST 25. And this is the first answer. Okay. This is the first answer. So this is the correct answer. If let us suppose this was a descriptive kind of a question, and this was not an objective one. In the objective one, you can clearly see 1050 is the only option. So if you do the calculation with, let us suppose, considering it is inclusive of GST, that option is not there, right? But if it was a descriptive kind of a question, you would have a little kind of a confusion can be there. So I always suggest students, if this kind of a situation is there, always make a note. Always put it over there, the assumption. So let us suppose if somebody is going ahead in a descriptive kind of a question and then they are answering, then whatever your assumption is, if you want to assume that this is what is inclusive, just mention it and then calculate it, right? Otherwise, in these kind of situations, it is pretty much clear. To answer who will pay, there was a recent update, right, through which instead of identifying and finding those riders and everyone, I mean, so just imagine from a tax department also perspective, if the companies will come back, the aggregators will come back, and then they will be like the driver should be paying the CGST or GST. The reason is basically because the drivers has ultimately given the services, okay, and then the amount that they are receiving from the customers can be passed on to drivers as well. I mean, this is your arrangement, the company and the driver's arrangement. The government has nothing to do it. And then it will be very difficult to reach out to respective drivers and ask them to pay the GST and all. Maybe they are not even that much educated in a couple of instances. So the government has come out with a kind of a notification that in cases of the e-commerce aggregators are there, the e-commerce aggregators will be paying the GST. Okay. So I hope it is clear who will pay the GST and how much the GST will be. You want to see the answer? I can quickly reach out to the answer to see how the answer has been given. So the answer is A, which is 1050. Reason: Section 9(5) of the CGST Act is a charging section. And this section deals with the taxability of supply of services, the output tax of which shall be paid by the electronic commerce operators. So in case of e-commerce are there, the e-commerce will be paying. So the government is not interested in chasing out the ultimate vendor or the supplier or probably the product owner. They are not going to get into that down. So if it is being sold by the e-commerce companies, they will keep a hold on e-commerce companies and then they'll be asking them to make the payment. Here, notified services includes services by way of transportation of the passengers by this, and the CGST is applicable on cable cabs. Therefore, the person liable to pay GST is cable cabs. And how much the fare will be? It is 1000, 5% on that, which will be divided into 2.5 into CGST and SGST. So it is the first option. Okay. The third question is basically, cable charging a premium for instant booking of prime cars had provided a new value to the customers So customers are gaining a value. Hmm? The value is basically instant booking of cars, making services easier and more convenient than its basic version. Adaptability to which model created a significant advantage for the organization. So Caber has come up with this kind of a model that instant booking is available. So the question is asking out of the four models, which one model is this? Is it an experience model? Experience model says that you are learning from customers' experience, or customer is paying because they are liking the experience, right? Subscription model says because you have come up with a subscription model, so customer has paid for, let us suppose, like Netflix and Amazon Prime, etc. So there is a subscription model whereby a monthly subscription is going on. So that's a model. Third is on-demand model. So whenever the demand is there, the on-demand model is there. And free model. So freebies and all, like Geo came up and all this kind of a thing. So out of the four models, we can clearly see that it is the on-demand model, right? It is the instant model basically. So since we are getting the premium instant booking, that is the instant model. So on-demand model. I explained all the four models. The fourth one is basically analyzing the facts from the above, determine which classification best describe Caber's current growth stage. What is the current growth stage? Okay. So they have given the four growth stages: startup, scale up, unicorn, incumbent. We need to understand all of them together. Okay. The startup is a stage which is whereby the idea is being kind of implemented and experienced by the customers. So the validation of the idea is still in progress. We can't say that this is a very good idea and then this is a kind of this can help the company drive the market, because it is just a startup. In the starting stage, we have an idea and we are validating it, getting the validation from the market, whether the market will accept it or not. So since the Caber is there for a couple of years and is a market industry leader as well, they are not at a startup stage. Okay. The second stage is basically scale up stage. So what happened? So let us suppose they started their operations in Chennai. They did a nearby kind of validation. They checked with the nearby society that everyone, how the customers are behaving, whether customers are happy with the services or not. That is the startup stage. Once you will pass on that stage, now you will get into the scale up stage. So now let us suppose I have done this particular area, a kind of a validation for a small area. So let us suppose one city is something that I picked up, and for that one city, I have got the validation, market validation, that this idea is really workable and people are liking it. Now what I will do the copy and paste. And I will do a copy and paste. It is known as scale up. I can get into multiple cities together. You know, I mean, a very important factor over here that you need to note is, let us suppose a small area is something that I started working upon. And in that area, let us suppose I hired five people, a marketing guy, a CTO, and all these things are happening. And I came up with an idea and started getting validation in my locality. That is what is known as a startup. So I started investing money. Let us suppose I'm sitting on a 5 lakh rupees per month expenditure. And I did this for 2 years, 3 years. Okay. So for 3 years, I kept on investing some amount, kept on coming. Or let us suppose I netted off with a 25, 30 lakh rupees of a loss every year. 30 lakh for 3 years. It means 1 crore rupees of a loss is there, which I actually put. This is an investment. This is a money that I invested in my idea, which is at a startup stage. But what I got in return, by the time 3 years ended, I can now see the people are responding to that idea. People have accepted, market validation is there. So I know this idea can click. This can work. Now I'm not going, after 3 years, I'm not going to start the same procedures in another city, right? It is not like that I'm going there. Now the market validation is there. I can do it for maybe in 100 cities altogether. But the problem is basically, if I need 1 crore rupees for one location, it means that if I want to do this at 100 locations in one go, the next 3 years, it is not going to take 300 years, okay, for 100 cities. If I have 100 crore rupees, in the next 3 years, you will realize that I am working in 100 cities with the same kind of a validation, and then suddenly the things will start shaping. So this is the scale up stage, and that's the stage where people generally like the investors to come in. This is the stage where they'll start making the investors presentations and everything, reaching out to various investors, showing them that the startup has given us a thumbs up, a kind of a market validation is there, and now we want to scale up. So we need money for that. Okay. What is a unicorn? Now it's after the validation, the company has is able to create a value of its idea. Now, when this idea is there, let us suppose it is running into 50 cities, generating. If I'm telling, let us suppose 1 lakh rupees of a business per month from one location, and it is operational in 100 locations. It is, let us suppose, 10 crore rupees every month, and for a year, it is more than 100 crores now. Okay. So if it is generating a revenue of 100 crores, I need to see what is the valuation of this company. To get the value, I may have a valuer. I may ask the valuer to do the valuation. And if that value is more than $1 billion, okay, then we call it unicorn. That's what I told you in the beginning as well. So that's what a unicorn is. What is incumbent? Incumbent means that the idea and the customer experiences is have reached to that level that it is almost impossible for a new entrant to enter into the market. The product and the services are known in the market by the company's name. This is known as incumbent, right? Like for a QSR, when you talk about MACD kind of a model, so they have established so beautifully in the market that uh, I mean, entering into that particular zone where MACD is working seems like impossible. Because when customers are talking about quick service restaurants in that kind of an industry, MACD is something which is coming to their mind. So the product or service has become a kind of a company's name has become that product or service. Okay. You're talking about Apple, the technology driven company. You suddenly, what is happening. When you are talking about Google, you know what is Google. So I mean, that is the level of incumbent where the new entrants finds it is impossible to compete with the existing players. So for the company that we are talking about, they are not at a startup stage. They are not at a scale up stage. They are, since they have valuation of more than $6 billion, so they are at a unicorn stage because they are also not incumbent. Okay. It is not like it is impossible for new entrants to compete with them because they have 55% of the market share. It is like 45% is still with other companies, right? So they are being competed into the same segment. So if you see the answer is fourth, which is the unicorn. Okay. The fifth is basically which statement is correct regarding the increase in the number of the directors in the accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act. So they want to increase the directors to 16. Okay. The company, so there is a limit. You can not have 16 directors without a special resolution. So there is an answer, if you'll see, that is the B one, which says that the company should pass a special resolution in the general meeting to increase the maximum number of directors to 16. A company is allowed to have around up to 15 directors without a special resolution in the general meeting. Okay, so this is what you will find when you read about the directors section in the Companies Act. And the answer is basically B, which is the special resolution. Now we will be reaching to descriptive based on the scenario. How did Cable address customers' pains and generate gains? And what specific strategies and features did it implement to enhance the overall customer experience and contribute to social and environmental benefits? Okay. So this case study and whatever we discussed, there are multiple pain relievers or gain creators. And while answering such kind of descriptive questions, all you need to do is to identify all that from the case study and need to summarize it in a kind of a manner which is presentable. So the answers which are given in these IBS case studies, they are suggestive. They are not the institutor is not kind of expecting you to have the same level of answers or remember those answers and do a kind of a cramming up and then doing a copy and paste over there, thinking that these kind of questions will be there. The point is basically you need to behave like a professional, right? This is what I told you. IBS is all about how you will answer to a customer. So if a customer is sitting and asking this kind of a question after giving me the background that they have given, if I am the professional, I may answer. I mean, obviously, we will all cover almost the same attributes or parameters, but the way we are answering, the different professionals are answering, it may vary. Okay. Some will do the pain and the pain relievers first, some may do the gain and the gain creators first. I mean, so on. So I'll just quickly show you, but all those pain and pain relievers and the gain and gain creators were there. Okay. And for both of them, you need to kind of address for customer as well and for driver as well. Because again, remember, you are a facilitator, you are just an aggregator in between. Okay. So you can go through the solution, you will find that whatever we have discussed, this is the only thing that is there. Okay. I mean, there is nothing specific to be addressed. So you can read that. Seventh is basically draw a business model canvas for Caber. When somebody is asking to draw a canvas of business model, all you need to do is to cover up, right? That who is your target audience, market, what is the other side of the suppliers, what are the areas where you will be doing or incurring the costing, how are and what are the sources of income for you. So all this is basically known as a canvas, a business model canvas, which you can cover over here. So not necessary, again, I'm saying that you need to use this level, this kind of a format only. Even if you take a different format, the ultimate purpose is from the institute as well, that you are covering and understanding this kind of a model. So if somebody is asking you providing a canvas, at least you know, right? This is known as a canvas. So you know what are the key partners, right? You know what are the key activities of the company. You know what are the value propositions the company is providing. Customer relationships, how they are maintaining. Customer segments, what are the customer segments that they have, right? In the same manner, what are the cost structures they have, channels and revenue streams. So whatever was there, this is all that is summarized here and given as a canvas, as a model. Okay. So again, the format may vary. Again, it depends on customer to student to student. But what we are expecting as an examiner, as an institute, that at least all these points, more or less, should be there in that canvas. Right? Now coming back to the last question of this particular case study, which is with reference to the case, the depreciation claim is rejected by the assessing officer. So if you can recall, the company claimed 5 crore rupees of depreciation on the cars which they bought for, which they provided on lease to the drivers. So drivers are the owners because the Motor Vehicle Act says that these drivers should be the owner of the vehicle. The company cannot, the lessor cannot have these assets, these cars on the name of the company. So there was a assessing officer who rejected this 5 crore rupees of depreciation. And the ground that they gave is that the CABR had only financed for purchase of leased vehicles. And hence it is neither. So they are saying that you are the financer, right? You have only financed these leased vehicles and hence it is not the owner. So you're not the owner. So this is what they are of an opinion, that the CABR is not the owner. Who is the owner? Whose name is there on the RC registration certificate? The name of on the RC is of the driver. So they are saying the driver is the owner and nor use the same motor cars in his business. And then they are saying that the car is not on your name and the car is not used in your business. So it is on the name of the driver and driver is using it for their business. So they are saying this depreciation is not allowed. Okay. So comment on the contention of the assessing officer. Okay. This case, actually, this is a practical case which was discussed in the Supreme Court as well. So if you study about the Section 32 of the Income Tax Act, you will realize that this is a case study which is given over there as well, kind of a specific case study. And in that case study, the court actually found that the business, the depreciation condition does not say that the asset has to be on the name of the company. Okay. And I mean, when the driver is using it, then they are using it for the business of the company itself. So Supreme Court allowed it. Okay, that this is allowed, the depreciation is allowed. And we can discuss because this is a very tricky question, right? So if you want, we can spend 2 minutes on the solution. reaching out to the exact provisions. So this says that the assessee must be owned wholly or partly by the asset must be owned. So depreciation conditions in 32, it says that asset must be owned wholly or partly by the assessee. The assets owned, right? It is not saying that the RC should be on the name. There is a difference, right? So if I have given a asset to one of my, let us suppose, employee. So if there is a laptop that I have given to my employee, but I have financed it with the employee's name only. But I have a right that at any point of time, if you will not be able to fulfill the conditions, then I will take this laptop back. Then it means I own the laptop. It is not like that ownership is only when the laptop is on my name, on the company's name. So the first condition is that it has to be owned fully or partly by the assessee, but it is not saying that the RC should be of the name on the company. Second is the asset must be in use for the business or profession of the taxpayer. Okay. So the asset, the laptop that I gave an example, or the car which is there in the example, is used for my business only, for the Keber business only, right? So this condition is also getting fulfilled. The co-owners can claim depreciation, I mean, with the ownership percentage, and then the assessee cannot claim depreciation on the cost of land. So very logical. Right over here, how the Supreme Court concluded that they were like the assessee is the exclusive owner of the vehicle at all points of time. I can anytime I can get the asset back from the driver if they are not able to. I have a right to see the maintenance and all. That is what I'm doing. So car is getting maintained by the company itself. It is just the name of the driver is there who is using it for my business only, for the company's business. At the assessee is empowered to repossess the vehicle. At the end of the lease period, the lessee was obliged to return the vehicle to the SSC. The SSC had a right of inspection at any time. So it is my asset, right? It's the company's asset, Keber's asset. The proof of ownership lies in the lease agreement itself, which clearly points in favor of the SSC. So you see, proof of ownership. The proof of ownership is not the RC only. It is just not like a registration certificate is there on which the driver's name is there and he becomes the owner. Okay, right? He has signed it under the lease agreement with all these conditions. So my company is at any point of time is in a position. So we need to see who is the registered owner and who is the owner in default. The company is the owner in default. Conclusion: the SSC lessor was therefore entitled to claim depreciation in respect of vehicle leased out since it has satisfied both the requirements of Section 32, namely ownership of the vehicle and its usage in the course of the business. Hence, the contention of the assessing officer in rejecting the depreciation claim is not valid. Okay, and this is what it was discussed in the Supreme Court with the ICDS Limited and CIT 350. This was the case. Okay, so when you read Section 32 of the Income Tax Act, you will get to know that this case study is there. Okay, so I hope with this case study one, you must have a name in your mind now that which one company we are talking about by taking name of Keber here, right? So I hope we all are intelligent enough to know this industry. You must have used these kind of applications. And I hope this case study has given you some insights. This is very important because few people in the society, they think it's only the kind of like revenue sources getting the income from the customer or the expenses only that paying to the driver. But there is a lot which is going on inside this industry. Okay. I hope some more insights which you might not aware about, be it algorithms or how the scale up is happening or what is the income band, or probably I will say what is the difference between scale up stage or startup stage. I mean, there are a lot of things that we discussed, but in short, I believe that this all somehow gave you some value addition to your knowledge. And now we can take a break for maybe 12-15 minutes. So we can come back at around close to quarter past 8, 8:15, right? Around. And then we can continue with the case study two, which I told you. It is about a solar manufacturing company, solar panel manufacturing company. Okay. So I'll request our IT support desk. So Ashokji or anyone who is there, We will take a break for 15 minutes and then we will come back after 15 minutes with another case study.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you,
sir.
everyone. See you soon. Just a minute, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Ajit ji, we are live. Perfect. Okay, so welcome everyone after a short break. Now, as discussed before the break, we are moving to the second case study of the day, which is the Luminous Limited. As I mentioned, that they are into the manufacturing of solar panels. So, Luminous Limited is a company engaged in the manufacturing of the solar panels. The vision of the company is to provide the most compelling value in solar energy industry. By value, the company means designing and installing highest quality solar panels on a timely basis with proper safety standards and lower cost. Okay. So designing and then installing both. Okay. The company aims at providing the country with clean, abundant, low cost, distributed, and renewable energy. It is one of the largest vertically integrated solar company that offers services across the spectrum of photovoltaics manufacturing. The company offers and produces high efficiency solar panels with higher performance and enhanced reliability. The company has the following vision. The vision is that to be the world class leader in businesses that contributes to nations in building infrastructure through sustainable value creation. Okay, so this is the vision of the company. Now, Luminous Limited has always been a standard for all the manufacturing companies for product quality. So they are the quality leaders, right, in the market. So in the industry that they are part of, they are known for the quality reasons. The company has multiple quality checks during its solar module production. This helps to ensure flawless production of solar panels and enhance attain utmost customer satisfaction. The company believes that in resource-scarce developing countries, identifying and targeting R&D policies in the critical areas such as energy is particularly important to maximize benefits derived from limited funds and skilled manpower. Now, resource-scarce developing countries. Why are we saying this? Because generally developing countries has a lot of manpower, but when it comes to specific skills, skill driven manpower is something which is generally lacking in these countries. They are in the process of upgrading the skills of their existing generation, the manpower, and even though the volume is there, the quality is something which generally people suffer with. That's why all these companies, when then they establish these kind of plants, specific skill requirements are there, and then they come up with their L&D programs, specific learning and development programs to upgrade, enhance the skills of the manpower that they'll be hiring. Now, energy R&D policy analysis and formulation in a developing country should not be carried out in isolation. It must be consistent with overall technology policy as well as the national energy policy, right? So if R&D policy, you are coming up with any research and development policy for such companies where research plays a very big role, what they are saying that your research and development policy cannot alone play a big role. It has to be commensurating with other policies as well, which is your technology policy, simultaneously the national energy policy as well. What if your national energy policy is not supportive? The government budget is not there on that national energy because these kind of companies which are providing renewable energy, they at times expect the government to subsidize certain expenses or to provide them some extra grants, etc. as well. So if it is not part of the national energy policy, then it becomes very difficult for these companies to survive in a particular country. So while they plan to set up their plants or start their operations, they definitely see that what is exactly the national energy policy for that particular country. The management of the company is of the view that ultimately energy R&D policies and priorities must support the goals of national socio-economic developments. Very true. Therefore, these priorities must be determined on the basis of an analytical framework that recognizing and addresses national development objectives. The company's research and development department is working very hard to come out with the solar panels with the lowest possible cost, so as to compete with the foreign manufacturers of solar panels. And as they mentioned that they are the quality leaders of this particular industry, so it is by default apparent that their R&D team is really doing pretty good. It means the budget for R&D for this company should also be higher in comparison to the other segments. So the company's R&D department is working very hard. Okay. During the FY 23-24, now we are talking a particular year. What has happened actually over here? The government gave the following grants to Luminous Limited for its business of solar panel. So I did mention that the national energy policy, it should have some budget which can be given to at least these companies which are into the renewable energy business, because this is a pollution free energy that is being generated, and then this can be circulated, that can be circulated at a low cost, ultimately benefiting the customer, the company, and the nation as a whole. Now the government has given them these kind of grants. So now you'll understand the different kinds of grants also which are given in the industry. So first of all, they have given 30 lakhs for past research of technology related to the solar system. Okay. There is no condition attached to it. So this is unconditional grant. They have just given 30 lakh rupees, and then they asked the company to do technology related work. I mean, you can do any research. So this is for my R&D department, but there is no specific kind of a section or an area where this money is to be spent. No condition attached. Then there was 5 lakh rupees, but they were given only to purchase a machinery. So there is a condition attached that I will be using this money only to purchase a machinery. Okay. The machine's cost is 15 lakh rupees, and the government has given me a grant of 5 lakh rupees. It means 10 lakh rupees is something that I need to contribute. Useful life of the machine is 5 years, and the depreciation is on the SLM basis. Okay. So we need to depreciate this machinery, which is of 15 lakh rupees. But against this 5 lakh rupees of a grant is there, the machine will be depreciated in 5 years on a SLM basis. Third, the government has given 3 acres of land as well to set up a plant. Okay. That's a very important thing, because you see generally it is the state government, not the central government, if I'll talk about the Indian perspective, which comes up with these kind of policies. And that's why you see we have specific economic zones and all those kind of areas, economic zones, because of which, I mean, generally the plant setups, manufacturing plant setup, etc., is happening into that area only. So the government is providing this land initiatives. So they have given this particular company 3 acres of land, and the ask was to set up a plant which can generate employment as well. The fair value of the land is 20 lakh rupees. So this is a kind of a land grant that is given, and 20 lakh rupees is the fair value. Government grant of 20 lakhs to defray expenses for environmental protection. Now this 20 lakh rupees of a grant is also given. Defray means to cover. So they are doing some level of expenditure to protect the environment. So the company is spending some money on environmental protection, and the government has given 20 lakh rupees so that they can cover those expenses. The expected environmental cost which the company will be going to incur is 6 lakh rupees per annum for the next 5 years. It means they are expecting like we will spend 30 lakh rupees on environmental protection, and the government has given them a grant for this specific purpose of 20 lakh rupees. Coming back to the statutory auditors of the company, B.R. Sridharan and Associates, they are the statutory auditors. The said chartered accountancy firm has a robust team of skilled and proficient chartered accountants who can handle all financial services areas relating to accounting, auditing, income tax, GST, company law matters, foreign exchange matters, etc. So there is a company who are the statutory auditors. So this is a firm, B.R. Sridharan and Associate. During the financial year under consideration, the board of directors of the company passed a board resolution to sell one of the company's undertakings out of the multiple undertakings of the company. One of the director of the company, Mr. Ramesh, is of the view that the board can exercise this power with the consent of the shareholder by way of an ordinary resolution, and passing only a board resolution would not be sufficient. So Mr. Ramesh is there. Now the company is actually trying to sell one of the undertaking. Okay. Now this undertaking which they are planning to sell, Mr. Ramesh, one of the board director, they are saying that you cannot sell this undertaking just by passing a board resolution in the board meeting, but you have also to pass a ordinary resolution in the AGM. Okay. The other directors on the board, however, did not agree with him. So the other directors, they are saying, no, we don't need this. We can sell this particular undertaking by passing a board resolution itself. The investment of the company in the said undertaking, which has been proposed to sell, is 22% of its net worth as per the last audited balance sheet of FY 22-23. So if you see for the 22-23, the net worth of the company was there, and this undertaking which we are planning to sell is the 22% of that net worth. Okay. So it's a substantial undertaking. It's not a immaterial or a small undertaking of the company. Further, Mr. Ramesh, now you see, this director who was of an opinion that a general or an ordinary resolution to be passed in the AGM, this director is staying in the Delhi with his wife. With respect to one of his immovable house properties in USA. Okay, so there is a house which is in USA of this director who is Mr. Ramesh. He took the professional services of a consulting engineer. There is a consulting engineer, Mr. George, who is based in Chennai, right? So Mr. Ramesh is based in Delhi. Mr. George is based in Chennai, but the property for which some professional services are taken, that property is in USA. Mr. George has high engineering qualifications, specialized background, and wide experience, and can plan, design, and supervise, and help in undertaking maintenance of any type of structure according to the needs of the client. So it shows that this guy is a qualified, experienced engineer, and he can take care of the property. What are the key points to be noted here? That the property is in USA, Mr. Ramesh is in Delhi, and Mr. George, who is the engineer, he's in Chennai. Now on 31st May 23, Mr. Ramesh took his family to an amusement park located in Gurgaon, Haryana. Okay, now there is an amusement park. This director has taken his family to that particular park. This particular amusement park has various attractions such as rides, games, as well as other events for entertainment purposes. For such visit, son of Mr. Ramesh, who stays in Jaipur for his studies, came to Delhi. Mr. Ramesh bought 3 tickets for the amusement park. Okay. So he has a son who stays in Jaipur, and then he is specifically traveling to go to this amusement park along with the family, the parents, and Mr. Ramesh for that purpose has bought 3 tickets. I I have a kind of a doubt if one of the question can ask whether this expense will be allowed in the company's books or not. Okay, so be careful. Anything can be asked from this particular case study. Luminous Limited is based in Delhi primarily. During the FY 23-24, the company receives legal services from an attorney in Dubai. Okay. Now this company is in Delhi, but they have taken some consulting services from one of the legal services from one of the attorney in Dubai, who is an unrelated person. So it is just mentioned to know you guys that this is an arm's length transaction. So there is nothing. Kind of it's not a related party. So the company paid AED 10,000, which is they have paid dirham 10,000 dirhams for the same to the attorney in Dubai. The company has 10 directors on its board. Now we have come back to the company. So we have discussed a couple of things, and now we are back to the company. So the company has 10 directors on its board. 3 of the directors have retired by rotation at the annual general meeting conducted recently. Okay, so 1/3, the requirement is that the 1/3 of the directors will be retiring. So 1/3 have retired by rotation. The place of retiring directors is not so filled up, and the meeting has also not expressly resolved not to fill the vacancy. So they are saying that the retiring director's replacement is not there, right? We are still open for replacement. And then the meeting is also not expressly mentioning that they are not intending to fill the vacancy, right? So the company, either they should have mentioned it expressly that they will not going to be filling the vacancy. But if they are not saying this, it means they are intending to fill those vacancies. Since the AGM could not complete the said business, it was adjourned to the same day in the next week at the same time and place. At this adjourned meeting also, the place of retiring directors could not be filled up. And the meeting has also not expressly resolved not to fill the vacancy. So they adjourned the meeting, and in the next meeting also, which was adjourned, it was not possible to fulfill that kind of a vacancy. So now coming back to the next fact, further, Mr. Baldev is one of the independent director of the company during the financial year. So Mr. Baldev is another director. Here, under consideration, the company paid him the sitting fees amounting to rupees 35,000 rupees for the month of December. There is another independent director of the company who was paid 35,000 rupees for the month of December as the sitting fees. The company has its retail showrooms in Patiala and Delhi. Okay, very important because it can become some a little bit confusing. There are so many things, so many facts which are coming up. The company has its retail showrooms in Patiala and Delhi. Okay, so two retail showrooms are there, one in Patiala and the other one is in Delhi. There is a factory also in Ludhiana where these solar panels are getting manufactured. During the FY 23 and 24, the company has manufactured 1,50,000 units of solar panel. Okay, so it's a good amount of production at its factory at Ludhiana, Punjab. The management decided to transfer half of its units manufactured to one of the retail showrooms in Patiala and the second half to the retail showroom in Delhi. Okay, so the factory produced 1,50,000 units. Half of it is sent to Patiala and half of it sent to Delhi for selling it from there. They in Patiala and Delhi we have a retail showroom. The factory and the aforesaid retail showrooms are registered under GST. So factory, Delhi and Patiala, they all are registered under GST in the states where they are located. So Patiala and Ludhiana, right? They both must be registered in Punjab, and then Delhi is registered in a different state. Further, the company has obtained separate registrations under GST for Ludhiana and Patiala showroom. Okay, so it's like in Punjab also they have two registration, one for Patiala, the showroom, the other one is in the factory of Ludhiana. The management of the company understands that such transfer shall not be considered as supply under GST, as such transfers are without any consideration. So company is saying this is just a branch transfer. Okay, so in the branch transfer, uh, we are not supposed to consider this as a supply under the GST. It means the GST will not be applicable. And since this seems a little complicated, there might be a question which in the case study, so they will be asking you that whether this will be considered as a supply or not. So I hope the case study is pretty simple, but there are a lot of facts which are being given in the case study, be it related to how solar company, this panel manufacturing company, is focusing on the R&D, how the national policy, energy policy is impacting the operations of such companies in a kind of a country. How they know that only the R&D policy is not sufficient. Their learning and development or the skill set enhancement programs should also be very important, right? They are talking about the directors retiring by rotation, and then they are saying that the meeting was adjourned, but in the adjourned meeting also, the positions which were vacant, they were not able to fulfill them. They were not able to appoint any directors around that. There was another director they didn't mention, right? Who has a property in USA and he has kind of taken a service from one of the engineer who is based out of Chennai. And this engineer in Chennai, he's is having very good experience to manage all these kind of properties and everything. So background was given. This director also, along with the family, stays along with the wife stays in Delhi, but has a son who is in Jaipur, maybe for studies and all. And then they have planned to go to an amusement park, which is somewhere in the Gurgaon. And the director has bought three tickets for this and asked his son also to join. So his son has came all the way from Jaipur to go to amusement park with both the parents. Simultaneously, they did mention about a director to whom the 35,000 rupees of a sitting fees was paid because this director was an independent director. And in last, they mentioned about the solar company, which is so they have two showrooms. One is in Patiala and the other one is in Delhi. And then they have a factory which is in Ludhiana. So now Ludhiana and Patiala, even though they both are in the same state, but the company has taken two separate registrations under GST for both of them. And while a separate registration is there for Delhi. The company has manufactured 150,000 units, and since the factory is in Ludhiana, so after manufacturing it in Ludhiana, they have sent like 50% of these units to Patiala and 50% of them to Delhi. Right. This is kind of a background of the case study, and the management, while transferring this, they are of an opinion that this will not come under GST. This will not be considered as supply under GST because it is the compensation is not there, and there is nothing that they are going to receive, and it is a kind of a branch transfer. It is not like a sale, right? So they think that this is not under considered as a supply under the GST. Now we're moving to the questions which are given in this relation. So the first multiple choice question says, is understanding of Mr. Ramesh for obtaining prior consent for selling one of the undertakings of the company correct? If you can recall, they were planning to sell one of the undertaking. This undertaking was having 22% of the net worth of the last balance sheet of the company. So it is a significant, a kind of a substantial part of the company, right? So Mr. Ramesh, he himself mentioned that the company should not sell this undertaking by passing an ordinary resolution. Okay. Sorry, a board resolution. But Mr. Ramesh was of an opinion that ordinary resolution has to be passed in the AGM, at the AGM. Now, the question asks, is understanding of Mr. Ramesh for obtaining prior consent for selling one of the undertakings of the company correct? Considering the fact that Luminous Limited is not a private company. Okay. The first option says no, as only board resolution is required in this case, which has been duly passed. So, I mean, the first option is basically what the other directors of the company are thinking. So, other directors of the company are also of an opinion. This is the same opinion that they were considering that no resolution to be passed in the general meeting. The second option says no, as the board can exercise this power and with the consent of the shareholders by a special resolution as and not on its own simply by passing of an can exercise this power with the consent of the shareholders only, that too by passing a special resolution and not on its own simply by passing an ordinary resolution. So they are saying this is also not possible because not even an ordinary resolution, but a special resolution is required to be passed in this case. Third is basically his understanding is correct, so an ordinary resolution is required. And D says that it is partly correct because the board shall exercise the power with the consent of the company by an ordinary resolution and not only by passing a board resolution at a board meeting. Further, prior approval of the ROC will also be required. Okay, so these are the four options. So if you'll go through the Companies Act and then you will come across that any substantial undertaking, which is the more than 20% of the net worth of the company, net worth of which we can calculate from the last balance sheet financial statements. So there is any undertaking which is more than 20%, a special resolution is required. Okay. So in this whole equation, and the ROC or MCA is not required, but it's not like a board resolution only or a ordinary resolution which the Mr. Ramesh is thinking will work around. So the correct answer is basically B, whereby a board can exercise this power with the consent of the shareholders by a special resolution and not on its own, simply by passing of an ordinary resolution. Okay. So I hope you understand this, and I can quickly reach out to the answers as well simultaneously to show you how to write this in the exam, even though this is a kind of a very simple multiple choice question. So now the answer is basically over here. No, as the board can exercise this power with the consent of the shareholders by a special resolution and not on its own simply by passing an ordinary resolution. And why so? There is an explanation which is given, even though for these multiple choice questions, I don't think an explanation will be required, but this is for your understanding. So the powers of the board of directors of a company are not unrestricted or uncontrollable as Section 180 of the Companies Act 2013 portrays. This section contains directive provisions which direct that the power in respect of specified matters shall be exercised by a board subject to the certain restrictions. That is, in such cases, the exercise of power by the board shall be restricted as per law. Section 180 is not applicable to a private company. It was also mentioned that it is not a private company. Matters in respect to which the power shall be exercised after obtaining consent of special resolution. According to section 181, following other matters, and what is the matter? The first one is given basically to sell, lease, or otherwise dispose of the wholly or substantially the whole of the undertaking of the company, or where the company owns more than one undertaking of the whole or substantially the whole of any such in order. Other words, out of multiple undertakings of a company, even if one is sold, leased, or disposed of either wholly or substantially, the consent by special resolution shall be required. Okay. So 22% is substantial. It is more than 20%. So it is definitely required. Now reaching out to the second question, second multiple question, which is what is the place of supply with respect to the professional services rendered by Mr. George to Mr. Ramesh? Now, if you can recall in this equation, how the facts were. The facts were that Mr. Ramesh, who is based out of Delhi, Mr. George, who is based out of Chennai, and the property for which the services are seeked, that is based out of USA. So, from a GST perspective, what will be the place of supply, right? Is it Chennai, where Mr. George is there? Is it Delhi, where Mr. Ramesh is there, or USA, where the property is there? Okay. So, in terms of GST, as per the provisions of GST, the place of supply is not when a property or a kind of a unit where against which the services are being seen. So, if that is outside India, it is not like the place of the service provider, which will be considered as the place of supply, but it is the place of the recipient of those services that will be considered as the place of supply. So even if the property is outside India, the place of supply will be established in this particular given situation as the place of the recipient, who is Mr. Ramesh. So the correct answer is B. We can reach out to the answer to see the answer and the explanation as well. So you see the answer is B, and the explanation is basically reason section 12(3) of the IGST Act provides that the place of supply of services directly in relation to an immovable property, including services provided by all these people, or by way of lodging accommodation by a hotel in this all case, by way of accommodation in any immovable property for organization and marriage or reception, etc. In all these cases, or any services ancillary to the services above, shall be in all these situations. What will be the kind of place of supply? It is like shall be the location at which the immovable property or boat or vessel, as the case may be, is located or intended to be located, right? So wherever this particular place is located, this property is located, is the kind of a place of supply. In our instance, the property is located in USA, which is outside India, right? So this section provides an exception as well, which says, but provided that if the location of the immovable property or boat or vessel is located or intended to be located outside India, right? The place of supply shall be the location of the recipient. Okay. So generally, wherever the immovable property is there, that is the place of supply. But since in our case, the immovable property was outside India, so in this case, the place of supply becomes the place of the recipient of the supply. Okay. So this is, and why is it important to calculate whether the Like the SGST will be there, or CGST will be there, or IGST will be there. I mean, to calculate that and which one government will benefit out of that tax, whether it will go to the central government, whether it will go to the state government, all these laws provisions are there. The next question is about the third question, which is what is the place of the supply with respect to the tickets bought by the Mr. Ramesh for the amusement park. Now, when coming back to this kind of a question, if you can recall, Mr. Ramesh is in Delhi, amusement park is in Gurgaon, okay, and the ticket has been brought. So they are saying place of supply for this case. What will be the place of supply? Is it Delhi, where Mr. Ramesh is there? Is it Gurgaon, where the amusement park is there? Or with respect to tickets purchased for Mr. Ramesh and his wife, the place of supply is Delhi, or for the ticket purchase for his son, who is based out of Jaipur. So they are saying the place of supply for him, the Jaipur will be there. Or D is basically it is the choice with which you can either consider Delhi or Gurgaon. Okay. So I mean, at least law is not giving us that liberty to choose whether it is Delhi or Gurgaon. Law is very clear. As in the previous question, also we saw wherever the particular uh, property will be there, that is the place of supply. Okay. So in this case, like the amusement park is in the Gurgaon. So the amusement park is supplying the services in Gurgaon itself. So the place of supply will become the Gurgaon. Okay. So in the third, the answer will be Gurgaon. And again, the provisions that we just discussed, in the same manner, the provision is basically the place of supply is the place where the event is actually held or where the park or such other place is located. So it is Gurgaon, right? It's not neither Jaipur nor Delhi. Moving to the next one, which of the following is correct statement with respect to the GST liability in case of the fees paid to Mr. Baldev, right? Now, if you can recall, Mr. Baldev is an independent director, right? And 35,000 rupees was the fees that was paid to Mr. Baldev. Now you see, it says like A, GST shall be payable by Luminous Limited under reverse charge mechanism. So they are saying GST on this 35,000 rupees, which is a professional service kind of sitting fees. On this GST will be paid by Luminous Limited because it's a situation under reverse charge mechanism. C, B point says GST shall be payable by Mr. Baldev. So it says Mr. Baldev has to pay. It means Mr. Baldev can consider 35,000 rupees as inclusive of GST and can pay the GST out of it. C is basically sitting fees paid to the director of a company is exempt under GST. Okay. So it says the like GST is not applicable on the sitting fees. D says that sitting fees paid to the director of a company is treated as salary paid to the director and it is not chargeable to GST and it is subject to deduction of TDS, right? So it says this is a salary, considered as a salary. So the correct provision is basically this is not a salary. They are not into an employment agreement with the company. And, there is a rotation also that is happening. So the point is in this equation, this is a professional fees that is being paid. And if it is a professional fees, the TDS will definitely be there, but simultaneously a GST will also be applicable. For these kind of instances, there is a clear provision, there is a clear clarification given by the department as well that the GST will be paid by Luminous Limited. We are not going to make the director held responsible to pay the GST. We are not going to kind of, to reach out to respective directors, whether they have paid it or not. We will simply ask the company that you should be paying. If you can recall, this is what we discussed in the case study one as well. Like in terms of e-commerce platforms, the government was of an opinion that it should not be like they are reaching out to different suppliers or vendors, like they should be paying. In the same manner, if a director is there, they are the supplier of the services, but the government is saying like we are not going to reach out to each director to check whether the GST is paid or not. We will hold the company responsible to make the payment of this GST under the reverse charge mechanism. So the correct answer for this is A, which is GST shall be payable by the Luminous Limited under reverse charge mechanism. Simple. Reason, sitting fees paid to the director as per the reverse charge notification, tax on services supplied by a director of a company, body corporate to the said company located in the taxable territory is payable under reverse charge. Hence, in the present case, the sitting fees amounting to rupees 35,000 payable to Mr. Baldev by Luminous Limited is liable to GST under reverse charge, and thus recipient of service Luminous Limited is liable to pay GST on the same. Okay. Let's see what is the next question asking. Question number 5 for this case study says Mr. Baldev has got sitting fees amounting to rupees 35,000 in the capacity of director of the company for month of December. Okay. It's, I mean, more or less like in the last question also, this was the fact. Which of the following statement is most appropriate in this regard? Such an. So the first option is income is taxable in the hand of Mr. Baldev under the head income from other sources. The company should deduct tax at source at the rate 1% while making such payment. Okay. So the fact is, this is actually income from other sources, which I mentioned. It cannot be considered as a salary. We discussed this in the previous question as well. So since it is income from other sources, the company who is making this payment, they are supposed to deduct tax over it. Okay. That is 1%. Okay. Let's see. So while making such payment. But professional services, right? So 1% is wrong. So A is not the answer, obviously. B is such an income is taxable in the hands of Mr. Baldev under the head salary. We discussed. This is not salary, so B cannot be the answer. Third is such an income is taxable in the hands of Mr. Baldev under the head income from other sources. True. This is so true. But the company should deduct tax at a source 5% while making such payment. It's not making sense because the TDS on the professional services is 10%. I hope you all are aware about it. So D is the correct answer. Such an income is taxable in the hands of Mr. Baldev under the head income from other sources, and the TDS at the rate of 10% will be attracted. So if you'll see the answer in the case study, it is also given like such an income is taxable in the hands of Mr. Baldev under the head income from other sources. The company should deduct tax at source 10% while making such payment. Reason: directors' sitting fees are not in nature of salary. Such income is taxable under the head income from other sources. Further, companies should deduct tax at source on such fees 10% in accordance with the provisions of Section 194J, which is Professional Services of the Income Tax Act. If you'll notice, you will realize that in this case, 35,000 is the amount, but 10% of it, which is 3,500 rupees, will be deducted as TDS by the company and then will be deposited to the government, which can be depending on the income level of this director. The director can claim in their income tax filing as the TDS kind of an adjustment or the tax refund, whatever the case may be. Now, on this 35,000 itself, while this 10% is deducted and deposited by the company has also to deposit GST, right, under the reverse charge mechanism. So it is not 35,000 rupees. The GST will also be paid in this particular situation. Yes, that GST can be claimed by the company, right? And it can be considered as a GST kind of an input credit, but yes, they have to make the payment, right, to the government. Moving to the next question. Okay, so descriptive questions have started now. So descriptive questions are the ones I'll only kind of go through those questions if they are more or less required to bring more clarity. But if they are in some sort of giving you only or summarizing this particular case study or just putting this into some kind of value mapping charts or something, then that is I will show you how to do that and we will move ahead then. Let's go through the descriptive questions. The first descriptive question is whether the retiring director shall be deemed to have been reappointed at the adjourned meeting. Okay. The second question is what will be your answer in case at the adjourned meeting the resolutions for reappointment of these directors were lost? Okay. So they are saying if there was a meeting adjourned and in that meeting we were not able to appoint them, right? What will happen? Will they automatically be or deemed to have been reappointed? What will happen if in the adjourned meeting the directors lost it, right? Then what will happen? And then whether such directors can continue in case the directors do not call the annual general meeting. So the directors, there is a rotational thing which is mandatory by the law. So they know if a AGM will happen, they will retire, right? So what are they doing? They are not calling an AGM. So is it possible, like by not calling an AGM, I can continue being the director in the company? Which obviously, apparently, does not seem practically possible, because otherwise every director will start doing it to remain a director in the company. Okay. Let's go through all three questions. How the treatment when a meeting is adjourned, and let us suppose that in the meeting the director has not lost the reappointment. If they have lost it, it's gone, right? But if they have not lost it and they are not disqualified as well, then probably they can be reappointed. Okay. So let's go through the answer to bring more clarity. In accordance with the provisions of the Companies Act as contained in this section, which provides that if at the annual general meeting at which a director retires and the vacancy is not so filled up, and the meeting has not expressly resolved not to fill the vacancy, the meeting shall stand adjourned to the same day in the next week. Okay. I think this is what exactly our company in this particular case has also done. So this is, I mean, it aligned with the law. So we were not able to fulfill the vacancy and we adjourned the meeting to the same day next week. Okay. Until or unless it's a national holiday, and then it will happen on the next succeeding day after which is not a holiday, at the same time and place. Okay. So, I mean, the law is very much clear and we have done that in this particular case study. So it's absolutely okay. Now, the second section, 152(7)(b) says, further provides that if at the adjourned meeting also the place of the retiring director is not filled up, okay, and the meeting also has not expressly resolved not to fill the vacancy. So either you have expressly resolved that we don't need any more directors. I mean, the directors which are left after the rotation are the directors who will continue with the company. If you have not resolved on that, it means you need those vacancies to be fulfilled, right? So in the adjourned meeting, if you're not expressly resolving not to fill the vacancy, the retiring directors shall be deemed to have been reappointment at the adjourned meeting, right? Because we need responsibility. We need people to be responsible. Especially the ones who are running the company, the directors who are responsible for oversight and looking at all the operations and everything. If they will retire by default and will not be reappointed, I mean, there is a high probability people will start escaping these kind of responsibilities. So the act says that if in the adjourned meeting also you are not able to fulfill the vacancy, what will happen in that case? That they will be deemed to have been reappointed, but except in the cases when they are disqualified because of any reasons. So unless at the urgent meeting or at the previous meeting, a resolution for the reappointment was passed and they lost it. So if they have lost it, they will not be reappointed. It means they have lost. So the reappointment is not a kind of a question anymore, or they have been disqualified. But otherwise, if the meeting was silent, then they will be deemed to have been reappointed, or has been given a notice in writing addressed to the company or board of directors expressing his desire not to be re-elected, or he is disqualified. Okay. So if in case they are coming back and then they are explicitly mentioning, or they have lost it, or they because of any XYZ reasons became disqualified, if nothing of it has happened, then in the adjourned meeting, the reappointment will be deemed to have happened. Okay. Therefore, in the given circumstances, answer to the asked question shall be as under. In the first case, applying the above provisions, the retiring director shall be deemed to have been reappointed. Okay. In the second case, where the resolutions for the reappointment of the retiring directors were lost, the retiring directors shall not be deemed to have been reappointed. Okay. Especially because it was lost. And in the third, states that the 1/3 of the rotational directors shall retire at every AGM. So if in case directors are becoming very smart and then they are not inviting or holding an AGM because they will be retiring then, So the law is very clear that this cannot happen. If you will not hold an AGM just because you know that you will be retiring by rotation, then the last day on which the AGM was supposed to happen will be the last day for you. So on that day, you will be automatically uh, rotated out from the board of directors. Okay, so this is what the law says. You cannot just keep it as a kind of a loophole that you are not having an AGM, so you can continue with directorship. That's not possible. So accordingly, the directors will retire as soon as the AGM is held on its due date. Okay. Further, as per Section 96, every company other than a one-person company is required to hold an annual general meeting each year. Hence, it is necessary for the company to hold the AGM, where the directors liable to retire by rotation shall retire. In case AGM is not held till the last day on which it should have been held, the term of retiring directors end on its last day, and it cannot be extended till the new date when the AGM shall be held. Okay, so they will automatically, if the AGM was supposed to happen, let us suppose by 30th September, you know what will happen on 30th September? The directors who are due for rotating out, they will be retiring by default. Okay. They cannot come up with an excuse that the AGM is supposed to happen in December. So we will continue our directorship till December. That's not how the law works. As the calling of the AGM is the duty and responsibility of the directors, they, by omitting to call the AGM on its due date, cannot take advantage of their own fault, and by that means cannot extend their own continuance in the office for any period of their choice, and as long as the holding of the next AGM does not take place. The next question is whether the management's understanding related to the transfer of solar panel to the company's retail showrooms correct in view of the GST law. Also determine the place of supply in case of services procured from attorney by the Luminous Limited, and suggest the company is required to pay tax under reverse charge. So there are two questions basically, but merged together. First question says, whereby the company is of an opinion that when they are transferring the goods from Ludhiana factory to Patiala and Delhi branch showroom, basically, they said that this is not a supply, right? So they were of an opinion that we will not pay GST. Okay. Now the point is basically we need to understand what is a supply considered as a supply in the GST. Since they have taken separate registrations, they are deemed to have separate kind of registrants, and any transaction between them that is supposed to be considered as a supply. We will discuss, we will read out the law as well for you guys. But the point is basically this will be considered. And what will be the price? What will be the value? That value will be the value of these products in the open market, right? And if the open market value is not there, then we will decide about the a kind of a similar product. So, what is the value of the similar products? And if the company is also of an opinion that there is no similar products that exist in the market, then the law is very clear that 10% of the cost will be added as profit. And then whatever the cost is there, whatever the amount is there will be considered as a selling price to calculate GST. Okay. And if the company, the management comes up and challenges the costing is actually decided on the basis of the certificate from the cost accountant. Okay. So we can have a cost accountant certificate, but that's an extreme kind of uh, situation where you need to involve cost management accountant. But otherwise, it is generally the open market value which is considered for such transactions. Simultaneously, when you are talking about a supply in case of services produced, so you can recall this attorney was in UAE, okay, and I think 10,000 dirham was paid to this attorney, and the service, I mean, the recipient of the service was in India, so the company is in Delhi, and they paid 10,000 AEDs to somebody who was over there in Dubai. So they are saying whether the company will be required to pay GST in these kind of situations under reverse charge. So you can recall director's reverse charge, and now it is another professional services. So in the same situation, I mean, like we concluded for director, we can conclude on this case that a reverse charge will be applicable. Let's go through the provisions. So stock transfer or branch transfers qualify as supply. Yeah. So okay, let's focus on this. I mean, this is a little complicated. So I would go through this whole of the answer. It is a common practice in business that one branch supplies services to another branch of the same entity, right? Without consideration. This is known as branch transfer. So from one branch to another branch. This is a kind of a very common practice. So I mean, at one place the products are not there, the other place the products are there, and this is, I mean, this was the root cause for transfer pricing. This was the root cause. I mean, there are a lot of things. So if you can recall, I mean, how this transfer pricing in the international market was also introduced. This was the reason because companies were showing it as a branch transfer instead of considering it as a sale. So to give you an example, if let us suppose Apple USA knows that there is an order in Apple in the Singapore market. Let us suppose somebody wants to buy 100 iPhones, but the problem is the Apple Singapore company does not have stock of 100 iPhones, and now they need this iPhone stock to be fulfilled from any nearby country, and then India has that stock. Okay, and if in case this India has a stock, they definitely may ask him to bill Apple Singapore and sell these products to Apple Singapore. But the problem is, if that will happen, right, there will be a profit that will be generated. Okay. So, so we will do a cost to cost knockoff over there. And if that will happen, the Indian government will be at loss. So Indian government came out with a provision that there will be some margin that you need to keep. We start calling it like arm's length price. Okay. Otherwise, India to UAE, and then a sale was happening from UAE to the open market. The reason was because any profit that is being generated in UAE was tax free, while the India was expected to receive some level of tax. So it was kind of a practice which was followed. I will not say it was a wrong practice because the law was not clear, or there was some kind of ambiguity around it. But when the government noticed that these kind of transactions are there, which are frequently happening, they made the things very clear. So even if a branch transfer is happening, there has to be an arm's length price, right, on which this transfer will happen. So similarly, that kind of a clause will be applicable over here. So it goes like, similarly, goods are transferred among different units of the same entity free of cost. For instance, distribution of samples manufactured in a company in a factory to different branches, or transfer of goods from factory to depot showroom for sale therefrom. From one warehouse to another warehouse, from one branch to another branch, and where the demand of the goods is higher, these transactions are termed as self-supplies. Under GST, these transactions undertaken even without consideration will also qualify as supply, provided the transfer of goods or services is between different locations with separate GST registration of the same legal entity, as these are transactions between distinct persons or establishments of the different distinct persons. The establishment of the distinct of a person with separate registrations, whether within the same state or in different state, are considered as distinct persons as per section 25 of the CGST. Therefore, transfer of solar panels from Ludhiana factory to showroom in Delhi will be considered as supply under GST. Okay. Also, since the company has obtained separate licenses, registrations for the Ludhiana and Patiala, the transfer of this solar panels will also constitute supply. Now, you see, in this situation, it is not like a loss, right? So, company is not into a loss. It's just like a time gap, I will say. You know why? Because company is actually transferring the goods today. Let us suppose in one of the entity, GST is applicable, and then GST has to be deposited to the government. Now, the company, the entity, the branch of mine who received this, they may consider this as an input credit. So when they will be selling further, they can claim this input credit and can reduce this from their GST liability. But the point is basically, on the supply, they have to pay the GST now, but they can claim the GST input only when they'll be able to sell it in the open market. So the time gap is there, but this is not an expense, right? So this company will be able to receive the input credit. When it comes to the second part of the question, uh, as discussed, since the attorney is based out of UAE, but it is in the given case the service provider, the attorney is outside India, and the services recipient is in India. Thus, the place of supply will be determined on the basis of the provisions of this. Since the given service does not get covered under any of the specific provisions of the section, the place of supply therefore will be governed by the general rule. That is, place of supply of the services will be location of the recipient of service, which is in India, Delhi. If you can recall, the same thing happened for USA thing. So the asset was in USA, outside India, but the recipient of service was in India. Okay. So in that case as well, we considered it, the place of supply, to be the place of the recipient. So in this case as well, even though the services, the person who is providing the services is outside India, but the recipient is in India. So we will consider this as a supply in India. Okay. And in this case, the GST will be applicable. But since we cannot go back to the attorney to ask for GST, what will happen? The company has to pay the GST. And this is known as reverse charge. Further, the given case is import of services in the section of this GST, as the supplier of the service is located outside India. The recipient of service is located in India and the place of supply of services in India. Since the services are imported for a consideration from an unrelated person, the same tantamount to supply in terms of 7A are liable to GST. As per the reverse charge notification, integrated tax dated this: if a service is supplied by a person located in a non-taxable territory to a person located in the taxable territory other than non-taxable online recipient, the tax is payable by the recipient. So therefore, Luminous Limited will pay GST under reverse charge paid to the. So I'm again reiterating. I mean, this seems like a very complex or kind of a situation, but the point is, you can draft these answers in your own words. They are descriptive answers, right? So every time, and as I mentioned during the solutions of case one as well, it is not like everyone has to give the same answers. You may choose the way you are answering. At the end of the day, the conclusion should remain same. Okay. The facts, how are you defining them? How are you drawing a conclusion? How are you mentioning that conclusion in the solution is something that will be rated. And on that basis only, the marks will be given. So it is not like these are basically a suggestive way to answer. So when you will do the practice of more case studies, you will understand, like how the answers are to be given. And then you can kind of uh, become habitual of writing the answers in such a manner which the institute wants you to write. And I mean, for that, you have to go through the case studies and all. There is a whole database which is available, which is accessible by anyone. And I mean, I highly recommend to all of you to go through that database. Now we're moving to the last question of our today's session, which is how should Luminous Limited recognize the government grant? So there were 4 types of grants. We will see how they will be recognized. So the first grant was, if you can recall, it was the grant of 30 lakh rupees, which was unconditional grant. Okay. It was only like to be spent, I think, on R&D related, but where in R&D was not clear. So yeah, this is here. So if you see, if you can see the screen, this is like rupees 30 lakhs for the past research and technology related to solar system. There is no condition attached to this grant. So they can use this money for anything. Okay. So the entire grant amount to 30 lakhs should be recognized immediately in the profit and loss account, as there is no condition. Any unconditional grant which a company is receiving is the profit of the company. It is directly like in the P&L, any P&L line item which is there, it can be net. I mean, not directly, as it has to be presented on a grossly basis, but the essence, the concept is basically that there is no condition apply. So you can spend this in exchange or in parallel to any of the expenses line items which are in the P&L. So when you can spend it on any of the line items, it should be credited on the other side instantly. It should not be going into as a reserve, and then you'll be waiting for the right time to spend it, or probably like for a specific purpose that only for this asset or for this plant and machinery or land this is given. So unconditional grants are directly income for any company. So that is what you will do with 30 lakh rupees. Instant booking of this unconditional grant. Moving back to the second thing, which was the 5 lakh rupees was given. If you can recall, 15 lakh rupees of was of a machinery and the useful life was 5 years and SLM was the method. So now what will you do this 5 lakh rupees? This is a conditional grant. Remember, okay? So you can spend this only on purchase of P&L. Sorry, this plant and machinery. It will not go to P&L then. So rupees 5 lakh should be recognized as deferred income and will be transferred to profit and loss over the useful life of the asset. In this case, 1 lakh, rupees 5 lakh for 5 years should be credited to profit and loss account each year over 5 years. Alternatively, rupees 5 lakhs may be deducted from the cost of the asset and depreciation shall be charged at rupees 10 lakh rupees. Okay. So, I mean, this is also very clear. I can recall one incident during my articleship, which actually confused me as well. And this is such a practical kind of an aspect. We were auditor of an NGO, and this NGO was even though the operations were quite at a bigger level, but we were auditing a particular branch. Now, this branch of an NGO, the accountant of the NGO, she was a lady. She came to me one day and then she asked me that Amit, there is a problem that they are not able to handle in the financials. So I asked them that what happened. So they were like, you see, we received 10 lakh rupees of government grant, but it was to purchase the building for this particular kind of making a office or purchasing a building. Now, also I was like, okay, that's absolutely fine. But what happened? Where is the problem? The problem was that they purchased a building. So when they got this 10 lakh rupees, what they did, they actually placed it in the balance sheet. So they passed an accounting entry that bank account debit to deferred income or to reserve for building, right? So this is how they treated it. So it went in the liability to the liability side of the balance sheet. So this 10 lakh was there. Now the problem was they ended up purchasing a building of 30 lakh rupees, which they were depreciating in 10 years. So every year, this accountant, what they were doing, they were passing an accounting entry and then they were claiming a depreciation of 3 lakh rupees. Okay. In 10 years, 30 lakh rupees of building was there. Now the problem was, so the entry was for every year they were passing was depreciation account debit to building, depreciation to building, and then P&L to depreciation. Now what happened? This building was getting reduced from 30 to 27 to 24 to 21 and so on. But the problem was the building was actually going out from the balance sheet, but that reserve, that the deferred income which was 10 lakh rupees there, this was intact. This was not getting touched. So she asked me, I mean, how to kind of like get rid of this particular deferred income as well, because that is there, right? And since I was working, I think it was the first year of the articleship itself. So I also got confused and I came back to my office. I sat with my seniors and then I asked that this is what is happening over there and how to resolve it. And then they suggested me, I mean, how simple it is. Either you reduce this 10 lakh rupees from that 30 lakh rupees, which means the building can be recognized at 20 lakh rupees, and then you can depreciate 2 lakh rupees every year. This is one way. Or if you want to create this as a deferred income and then you are putting 3 lakh rupees as depreciation, then this 10 lakh rupees should also go to the P&L in the proportion of depreciation, right? So 3 lakh rupees on the expense side and 1 lakh rupees on the income side, netting it off 2 lakh rupees of net expenditure. This is the right treatment, which I can recall now with the same kind of a situation. These two options are given. So either you net it off or you kind of simultaneously keep on crediting that grant as well on the other side. Now, the third is basically whereby they gave the 3 acres of land and the fair value of the land is 20 lakh rupees, right? So land should be recognized at fair value of 20 lakhs and government grant should be presented in the balance sheet by setting up the grant as deferred income. Alternatively, deduct the amount of the grant from the cost of the asset in the same way the above has been done. In the given case, the land is granted at no cost. It will be presented in the books at nominal value. Now you see, land cannot be depreciated. Okay. So even if you'll try, like let us suppose to depreciate this over the period of time, the land will never depreciate. And if you will be recognizing it at fair value of 20 lakh rupees, then you're not going to purchase anything else against which you can adjust this deferred income, right? So since there is nothing that you are paying, it is advisable that you can put it at a nominal value in the books of account so that you are recording this as well. And then the future P&L is also not getting impacted with something that shouldn't be uh, uh, is purchased by you, and the depreciation is also not applicable. So in this particular case, a nominal value can be used to recognize this. The last one was the government grant of rupees 20 lakhs to defray expenses, which is to cover the expenses for environmental protection. And then they are expecting like 30 lakh rupees is what we will spend, 6 lakh rupees every month. So as per the para 29 of the IND AS 20, grant related to income as presented as part of the profit and loss, either separately or under general heading such as other income. Alternatively, they are deducted in reporting of the related expenses. So in the same manner, like we have covered above, so whenever you are putting up that expense in the P&L, you can put this part of the income as well. So in accordance with the above, presentation of the grants related to the income under both the methods are as follow. Method one, credit in the statement of the P&L. So the entity can recognize the grant as income on a straight line income, rupees like 4 lakh rupees. So again, same thing. I mean, you are putting expense of 6 lakh rupees one side, and then 4 lakh rupees of income will be there every year for 5 years. So 2 lakh rupees of net expense will be there, right? Or you can kind of deduct since the as a deduction in reporting to the relevant expense. Since the grant relates to the environmental expenses incurred to incurred in entity, it can present the grant by reducing the grant amount every year from the related expenses. That is environmental expense of rupees 2 lakh rupees. So either you show 2 lakh rupees net, or you show 6 lakhs as expense and 4 lakhs as income. Both the things are allowed. So this one is known as gross, and this one is known as net method. The standard regards both the methods as acceptable for the presentation of grants related to income. However, method 2 may be more appropriate when the company can relate the grant to a specific expenditure. The standard also provides that disclosure of the grant may be necessary for a proper understanding of the financial statements. Disclosure of the effect of the grant on any item of income or expenditure which is required to be separately disclosed is usually appropriate. So if you can identify that this particular expense is actually done against which this grant is received, then it is advisable that you net them off. But if there is a gross expenditure that you're incurring, and then at a line item level, you cannot just relate or kind of net both of them, then it is advisable that you follow the method number one, which is showing the expense of 6 lakh rupees and then the income of 4 lakh rupees. Okay, so I mean, this is how you can draft your responses as well in these cases. So with this, we have come to an end of today's session, and this was the case study 2 that we thought of covering today. I hope it also had adding some value in your knowledge, added something to your knowledge base, and gave you some insights on how to write questions and answers, and gave you some clarity on certain aspects, right? So we're calling it an end to the session. I'll go back to Ajit ji, or if in case, let me just quickly check if you have any questions that I might have to address. Then we can check those questions as well. Sorry. Okay, perfect. So Ajit ji, yeah, Ashok ji, whomsoever is there, over to you. Yeah, sorry, can you repeat? Yeah, session. Yeah, we have come to an end of the case study 2 as well. I was just thinking if somebody has any questions, but in the chat box also the questions are not there. So I can wish you all the very best for this kind of a exam, IBS exam, and I look forward to seeing everyone in the corporate pretty soon on the other side of the table. I wish all of you will become chartered accountant as soon as possible. And thanks a lot for your time for today's session. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.
अशोक जी, हेलो, अशोक जी।
No, no, no. Please bind up the session. Good night, sir.
Okay. Good night, everyone. Thank you. Bye. Take care.